A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire. 5 bells. Move in immediately.
That's it. Let's go. Let's go. Firefighters.
Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a minute, we'll move to the ridge of Breakleg Hill, rising like a rock above a sea of smoke from the forest fire. On the crest of the hill, Chief Cody and Ellery Collins lead the fight of the volunteer firemen against the conflagration that threatens to destroy Upper Falls. Before we join them, here's a message. Let's go, firefighters. Let's go to the crest of Breakleg Hill, where a line of weary men, armed with axes and brush hooks, fire rakes, and shovels, is toiling at desperate speed. Urging the volunteers on are Chief Cody and Tim Collins' cousin Ellery, chief of the Upper Falls Fire Brigade. As Chief Cody spies a dim figure coming toward him through smoke.
Who's that? Ellery Collins?
Yes, it's me, Chief. I suppose there's no sign of them yet. Tim and the boys, I mean.
Not a sign.
Well, Pete knows these woods like the back of his hand. If there's any way to escape that fire down there...
Sure. Besides, young Tim Collins has gone after them. For that boy is a born smoke eater. He'll find Jimmy and Pete.
Yeah, sure.
Well, there is a chance for them. There's always a chance.
I hope. That fire's slamming fast, Chief. She's reached the steepest part of the hill.
Now, look here, Ellery. I feel about young Collins and those boys, well, I feel as badly as you do. But we've got to stop this forest fire. We've got to save Upper Falls.
You're right. We can't stand here mooning over personal matters. What's to be done, Chief?
How's it going at your end of the line? Have your men got that fire break set up?
They cleared the brush and the strip along the hillside. Now they're turning up the dirt with shovels.
Good. When the fire hits that cleared strip, it'll have nothing to feed on.
But if it leaps across the ridge, the wind may carry it over and past us, Chief.
Then we'd better follow the orders from the district warden.
I think so. I think we need a backfire. Down below the cleared strip, we'll burn out a patch of those woods.
All right, I'll do it, Ellery.
It's dangerous, Chief. I want to do it myself.
Oh, man, you can't. You're in command here. These men look to you for leadership. You can't take the chance. Well, what are my orders?
Check on the men at your end of the line. As soon as that fire break is completed, start the backfire. That's all.
Yes, sir. I'm on my way.
Over the scene, the district warden directs the fight against the forest fire by radio from the patrol plane of the Forest Service. A helicopter in slow flight, hovering above the billows of smoke that cloud the sky. As he judges the course of the fire, the warden watches for any sign of Jimmy Collins and his cousin Pete, never suspecting that deep inside the rocky cavern of Breakleg Hill, the boys are safe, and Tim Collins is with them.
Oh, good grief. We've got to get out of here soon, fellas, before we freeze.
Oh, I wish we had a fire. I'm chilled to the bone, huh? We just had a fire, didn't we?
Yeah, you're right about that, Pete. Can't you be satisfied, Jimmy? Always too hot or too cold.
Who's that? Me. Catching cold? No, of course not. Gee, we'll all have colds in the head of... Gee, can't we get outside soon?
That's what I've been wondering. Been here a long time.
The fire must have passed by now.
Yeah, well, it's going to be hot out there, Jimmy. No sense in escaping the flames if we're going to sizzle ourselves on the rocks before they cool off.
Oh, there goes Pete again. Hey, listen.
Huh? What's on your mind, Pete?
When he tries to talk, his teeth chatter so the words can't get out. Just listen.
Huh?
Listen, Tim.
To what?
Listen a minute. That's what he means. Quiet. It's those animals that came in for shelter. Yeah. You hear them, Tim?
Those rabbits and things, mice and squirrels you saw running into the cave?
Gee, listen to them.
Yeah, getting restless. I wonder if it's cold.
Oh, with those fur coats on? Oh, they got no right to kick. No, sir, Tim. I won't want to get out.
That's it, Pete. That's it. They want to get out.
Yeah, me too.
Look, fellas, we've been here in this cave a long time. If the animals are getting restless, well, I mean, if they're beginning to figure it's almost time to start pulling out.
Well, maybe they know best.
Yeah, what do you say, Pete? We're only a couple of hicks from the city. Are those rabbits giving us a hint?
Pete says, yeah. It's time to go.
Well, then what are we waiting for? Yeah, we'll try our luck anyway. I'll go first. If I crawl outside, don't follow till I say the word.
Oh, I don't care how hot it is. I want to sizzle.
All right, let's go.
All right. Gosh, is it still too hot to go out?
No, you can stand it, fellas. Just at first, it's so hot.
What's the matter?
All right, come on out, both of you, but first put your handkerchiefs around your face.
You got a handkerchief, Pete?
Yeah.
What's the matter, Tim? Smoke?
Yeah, smoke. And a hot wind and woods are all gone. Come on out and see for yourselves.
Here I come. Golly. Gosh, Pete, wait till you feel this wind. Gosh, I'm warm already. Oh, golly, it feels good. Then why don't you stop shivering like me? Well, force of habit, I guess. Oh, golly, look at the woods.
Yeah, look at them. Black and charred and smoking.
Gee, only this morning there were trees everywhere. It was all green and cool and... Gosh, what a mess.
All because some fool was careless with fire. Tossed a lighted cigarette from a car on the highway.
Oh, I'd like to tell him what I think of him. Yeah, he ought to go to... Gee, Tim, can't we go someplace? Can't we start for home? Pete's got an awful cold, even if he says he hasn't.
I wonder if it's safe yet to try walking on that...
Hey, look!
Huh? What, where?
Oh, look at your feet, Tim. Your shoes are smoking.
Well, look at your own shoes, and Pete's, too. And we can't walk out here, fellas. This ground is still burning hot.
Ouch! Now we'll have to go back to the cave and cool off. Oh, no, Hey, look! Listen!
Huh?
Well, that's the noise the wind makes that the fire stirs up, isn't it? Hey, no, it isn't.
No, it's up there.
It's a plane. Oh, up there in all that smoke.
Yeah, the smoke. It makes it like twilight. But the draft is pulling it uphill.
Gee, if it could clear away so we could see. Hey, there's a break in the clouds. Maybe they'll see us.
No plane could spot us through that gap, Jimmy. It'd have to fly past.
Hey, look, it is a plane. Yeah, but planes can't stand still in the air, can they?
Yeah.
Who ever heard of a plane that could... Hey, golly, that one can.
Yeah. Hey, it's a helicopter. Fellas, they're looking for it.
As the district warden in the patrol plane of the forest fire drops down toward the three tiny figures he sees below on the hillside, the forest fire rages toward the crest of Breakleg Hill, where the firefighters wait in desperate hope that the flames will be stopped.
Well, this is it, Ellery.
We've done all we can. We've cleared off the brush and plowed up the ground. You risked your life burning off that belt of undergrowth.
If this doesn't stop the fire, nothing can. Nothing this side of Upper Falls.
Hey, young man. Stand by with those extinguishers. Get the packs up on your backs.
There goes the district warden again.
Whereabouts? I can't see him through the smoke.
He just dropped down beyond the crest of the fire.
He's been hovering above the hillside. Those back drafts from the fire, I thought he was getting pretty close.
Well, that wind could smash him against the rocks like a... Well, here comes the test, Ellery. The flames have reached our fire break.
Yes, all along the front. Stand fast, men. Ready to pour on that water if we need it.
I don't think we'll need it. The flames can't pass the fire break. Now, this is the moment that counts.
They can't cross the fire break. Chief, they're dying down.
We've stopped the fire. We've stopped it dead.
We've won. You men, we've won. Close in. Beat out those sparks.
As the men close in to beat down the scattering sparks thrown off by the dying forest fire, Chief Cody and Ellery Collins turn wearily away. On the very peak of the ridge, they drop down to rest among the rocks.
Oh, it feels good to sit down.
Yes, only now that the job's done, I guess there's not much reason left to hope.
I know how you feel. Uh-oh, the job's not quite done, Ellery. Before we start searching for those younglings, we've got to report to the district warden.
He's flying as if... Chief, that plane is having a hard time.
Something's wrong. He's trying to make the hilltop... Great blazing blisters. Is he trying to land on the ridge?
Oh, he'll drop a message to us.
No, he's hovering. Let's get over there, Ellery. He's dropping that rope ladder of his.
He's got passengers, Chief. Somebody coming down the ladder.
Hey, Chief, wait here.
Jimmy Collins! Ellery, it's the boys. The warden picked up the boys. Oh, Collins, boy, we thought you were done for.
Oh, we're too tough to burn, Chief. Oh, Chief, if we ever get to Hollywood,
Pete, son. Pete, you're safe.
No, Pi. I caught a terrible cold. Oh, Cousin Ellery, Chief Cody, listen. Let me tell you, right in the middle of the forest fire, gee, it was so hot even the rocks cracked and split. But Pete, he didn't care. He just went ahead and caught cold.
And that's the best trick of any week, catching a cold like Pete's in the midst of a forest fire. But the fire has been stopped. And if Chief Cody and Ellery Collins can now hold it in check, Upper Falls will be saved. Their next move is for the district warden to decide. And you'll hear his orders in our next true-to-life episode of The Firefighters. In just a moment, Chief Bob Cody will tell you, boys and girls, how you can help the firefighters in your own town. But first, here's a message you ought to hear. And now, Chief Bob Cody with a special notice for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Hello, boys and girls. This is your friend, Chief Cody, with a reminder that we all share the cost, even though very few people may be guilty of carelessness in starting a forest fire. Did you ever think of that? Now, even if your home is miles away from the scene of a forest fire, you lose, because fire destroys valuable timber and beautiful woodland. You lose because somebody miles away has been guilty of carelessness. Somehow it doesn't seem fair, does it? All right, think it over. That's all for now. You'll be hearing from me soon.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's go! Let's go! Firefighters!
Autolite and its 98,000 dealers bring you Mr. Herbert Marshall in tonight's presentation of Suspense.
Tonight, Autolite presents part one of the most famous of all literary puzzles, Charles Dickens' unfinished novel, The Mystery of Edwin Droop. Our star, Mr. Herbert Marshall.
Well, if it isn't Oscar, the singing limousine.
Every car sings when it's got what I've got, Harlow.
Ah, you don't have to tell me, Oscar. I know. You've got ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs. The spark plugs that are world famous for quality and performance.
I'm starting the year right, Harlow.
Ah, you sure are, Oscar, because Autolite spark plugs are ignition-engineered to give top performance at all times. They're specified as original equipment on many leading makes of our finest cars, trucks, and tractors.
My Autolite spark plug dealer told me spark plugs were the very heart of my ignition system.
And he was right, too. So, friends, have your spark plugs checked by your nearest dealer who sells Autolite spark plugs. To quickly locate him, just look for the Autolite spark plug sign or phone Western Union by number and ask for Operator 25. And remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite presents Charles Dickens' The Mystery of Edwin Drood, starring Mr. Herbert Marshall, hoping once again to keep you in suspense.
This is the last night I have to live, and I will set down the naked truth without disguise. I was never a brave man, but the task comes without much difficulty. I can speak of myself as if I had already passed from the world. For while I write this, my grave is digging, and my name is inscribed in the black book of death. It was in the organ loft of the assembly hall at Cloisterham College where I first began to learn how a man's mind can become a thing of horrible wonder, a part, a writhing, tormented thing, beyond his poor power to control. I'd gone there, as I so often did, for the peace and quiet, for the song of birds, the scents from gardens and woods that joined with me and my music. And it was there, suddenly without warning, that my mind filled with those words. Words long forgotten, only half learned at best, somewhere in the dim past. When the wicked man turneth away from his wickedness, he shall save his soul alive. The wicked man? What has that to do with me, with John Jasper, simple instructor in music?
Jack?
And why should I be filled with a strange sense of guilt?
Are you in there, Jack?
The wicked man. Me? The wicked man?
Jack, are you in the organ loft? Jack?
Well, who's that?
It's I, Jack, your nephew, Edwin Droop.
Edwin.
I'm out here in the assembly hall.
Edwin. Edwin, my boy.
Jack, it's good to see you again.
Let me see what the past 3 months have done for you. I can't say they've done you a bit of harm.
No reason why they should. But tell me of yourself. You look a little tired.
Tired? Oh, nonsense. Never felt that in my life.
Not worried about something, are you? Some strain you're under, perhaps?
In this sleepy old college town? Oh, but look here, come into my office. We're wasting all this time in talk. I've been saving a special welcome for you, my boy. Sit down and rest your weary bones while I make it ready.
Oh, Jack. Jack, I'm truly home again. I can see that now. No wonder you love it here at Cloistrom.
Is that what you think, Edwin?
Well, who could think otherwise, looking at you? You're respected, your talent for teaching music admired and looked up to. You'd be duty-bound to love it.
You're wrong, Edwin. I hate it.
What?
I hate it.
Jack, I'd never dreamed.
Well, no, let there be an end to such talk, Edwin. We've delayed our toast much too long as it is. To your future, Edwin.
No, Jack, hold on. I'll not make that the first toast upon my return.
Oh, why not?
There's a much better one to drink to on this day of all days. To my future wife, Rosa.
Of course, Edwin. To Rosa. As we stood there, Edwin and I, drinking to her, to Rosa, I began to realize why those words about the wicked man had come to me just before his return. It had been a warning that might have already come too late.
Jasper.
Good evening, Rosa. Have I startled you?
Why, no, Mr. Jasper. It was only that
You were expecting someone else?
Well, Edwin said that he might get here early.
I'm sorry I disappointed you then.
Oh, no, it isn't that, really. Oh, I'm being quite rude, aren't I? Please come in.
Thank you, my dear. Well, you look most charming, Rosa. I'd swear that gown was purchased in London expressly for your party tonight.
You surprised me, Mr. Jasper. I didn't know you were so observant concerning women.
Concerning women, Rosa? Or you?
Why, me? I'm only one of your music students.
No. You're a good deal more than that to me, Rosa.
I'll open the parlor. We can wait there for the other guests. You said I was a good deal more to you than just a music student. What did you mean?
Edwin's my nephew. You're his betrothed. Surely the love I bear for him extends to you also.
Oh, I hadn't thought of your feelings toward me in just that way.
Had you thought of them then?
Allow me to be frank, Mr. Jasper. I'm going to marry Edwin despite the fact that I do not love him.
You do not?
Oh, as a brother, perhaps as a very dear friend, but not as one should love a husband.
Then, why marry him, Rosa?
Because I couldn't bear to see him hurt. Because I promised both my parents and his that we would marry.
There's nothing that can change your mind?
No, Mr. Jasper.
Not even if you loved another?
I do love another. The other guests.
Rosa.
Oh, excuse me, please. I must let them in.
remember little concerning the party that followed, being too occupied with my own thoughts. But two incidents do stand out as foreshadowing events to come. The first, a conversation between Dean Crisparkle and his protege, Neville Landless, a strange and intense young man, but newly arrived from Ceylon.
Yes, of course, my dear.
She's a beautiful girl, Dean. One of the most beautiful it has ever been my fortune to meet.
It might be best for you to curb your admiration, Neville. Rose is already spoken for.
In Ceylon, that is not always a reason.
I need hardly remind you, my boy, that this is Cloisterham in England. I warrant her fiancé would not take too kindly to your attitude.
Fiancé?
Young Edwin Droop.
Ah, yes. I now understand his air of proprietorship. Obviously, he is not one who appreciates his good fortune.
May I ask, Mr. Landis, the exact meaning of your remark concerning me and Rosa?
Edwin, really, I didn't know
don't mind, Mr. Drood. It seemed to me that you were taking the young lady in question rather for granted. I merely commented on it.
A manner of comment that hardly comes under the heading of civility in England, Mr. Landis. Though perhaps your somewhat heathen background may account for it.
Oh, come now, gentlemen, this is hard at the time.
Nor does it seem very civil for you to comment so upon a stranger here, one who has not had your so-called advantages in upbringing.
Perhaps the best civility is to mind our own business. If you will set me that example, I promise to follow it.
You take too much upon yourself, sir. In my part of the world, you will be called to account for it.
By whom, for instance, Mr. Landis?
By me, sir. At your earliest convenience.
Oh, gentlemen, please.
Edwin, let's have no more of this. High word between the two of you. I don't like it, my boy.
Nor do I care for certain comments made in my presence here, Jack.
This is hardly a matter of moment, Edwin. We are all hosts here to Mr. Landless, a stranger newly arrived. You should respect the obligations of hospitality. Shall it be over, then?
So far as I'm concerned, Jack, there's no anger left.
Mr. Landless?
None, Mr. Jasper.
So be it, then. The incident is over. When it became time for Rosa to play, I took my place at the piano beside her in order to turn the pages of the music. I stood there watching her hands caressing the keys like two white, tender doves, seeing her lips pursed tenderly in concentration, the curve of her soft cheek, her eyes intent upon her music, yet finding moments free to glance up into mine. A tide of emotion welled up within me as I watched. And then I saw it begin to overtake her, too. It was evident in the trembling of her hands, the color draining from her face, her quickening breath.
Oh, no, I can't bear it. I can't bear it. Take me away, please. Take me away.
It was then the decision was made. It was then I knew that the end result was as fixed in time as the inexorable approach of death. In this instance, the death of Edwin Drood.
Autolite is bringing you Mr. Herbert Marshall in Charles Dickens' The Mystery of Edwin Drood. Tonight's presentation in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
You know, Harlow, this is the first time I've had Autolite resistor spark plugs under my hood.
Well, then, Oscar Otto, you're in for the ride of a car's lifetime. The Autolite resistor spark plug is the greatest advancement in spark plugs for automotive use in the past 25 years.
They sure step up my performance.
That's because Autolite resistor spark plugs have something extra that gives you something extra. That extra is an exclusive Autolite built-in 10,000-ohm resistor that makes possible such extra advantages as smoother engine performance, quick starts, and double spark plug life.
Extra special, eh, Harlow?
Right you are, Oscar, and the Autolite resistor-type spark plug is only one of the complete line of Autolite spark plugs for every use. So, friends, see your nearest Autolite spark plug dealer. Have him check and replace worn-out spark plugs with ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs, either standard or resistor type. And remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Mr. Herbert Marshall in Elliot Lewis's production of The Mystery of Edwin Drood, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
I have said that a man's mind can become a thing of horrible wonder, a part. So it must have been with mine that night. For I know now that the plan, the complete, the perfect plan, was born the very moment that Edwin Drood led Rosa from the room.
Oh, the poor girl. She's quite evidently overwrought. Yes, quite overwrought.
Little wonder, with the strain she's had to bear. It can hardly be conducive to one's nerves when a fiancé becomes proprietary and overbearing.
It would appear that your earlier differences with Edwin Drood still rankle, Mr. Landless.
I believe I have my anger well under control, Mr. Jasper. Though the same can hardly be said for the circumstances that provoked it.
Oh, come now, Neville. It is hardly becoming to maintain such a disagreeable attitude.
Hardly becoming, perhaps, but a natural reaction. And one that can be as naturally overcome.
And just how would you suggest this to be done, sir?
Through friendly discussion over a friendly nightcap, Mr. Landless. Shall we say at my gatehouse? Within the hour?
Will Drood be amenable?
He's already accepted my invitation.
Then I shall accept also.
Thank you, Mr. Landless. You shall not regret it, I assure you. I took my leave then and pursued my way through the silent cobbled streets of Cloisterham. My path led me beside the city's venerable crypt. That strange jumble of old walls, ancient druidic stone, and decaying monuments, wherein dwelt the bones of centuries of Cloisterham's dead. Upon reaching it, I forsook the cobblestones of the street for the rubble of the crypt.
Beware that there mound by the yard gate, Mr. Jasper.
Oh, is that you, Doddles?
Aye.
Well, what was it you said?
I said, where the mound, Mr. Jasper.
Why, what is it?
Lime, that's what.
Lime? What you call quicklime?
Aye. Quick enough to eat your bones. And your boots. With a little hand stirring. Quick enough, surely, to eat your bones.
Really? Now, you use it in your stonemason work, do you?
Aye. Though it's little enough stonework for Doddles these days. But with the mayor and them wanting to learn where the olden ones is.
Oh, yes. Searching for the final resting places of ancient druids, aren't you?
Aye. Trying task it is, too. What with the way they're buried here, without no rhyme, no reason. Scattered about like in walls and under passageways.
At best, I'd say it was an impossible task. Doddles.
Not for Doddles and his hammer, it's not.
Hammer? How can that possibly help?
Well, look you over here, Mr. Jasper. Here's a wall. Thick it is. Over 6 feet. Crumbling bad in spots. Hard to tell just what might be buried there, if anything. But Doddles will soon put an end to that mystery. Yeah, he taps, you see. Solid here, unholden. So I goes on tapping. Hollow here. Nothing. I tap some more. Here I find solid. Hollow again. There you have it, Mr. Jasper. Walls hollow. Oh, filled with rubbish and whatnot, I wager, but hollow plain enough. Like most of the walls around here. Plenty of room in them for 100 more bodies if need be.
Yes, I dare say. Well, thank you kindly for a most illuminating lecture.
Well, no. You didn't say why you come visiting here in the first place, Mr. Jasper.
I don't believe I know, Doddles. I don't believe I know. When I arrived at my lodgings, Edwin was already there. And no sooner had we got the fire blazing and made ourselves comfortable than Neville Landless put in his appearance. Please to sit down, Mr. Landless. Whatever small comfort you find here, consider to be your own.
My thanks, Mr. Jasper.
Turn up the lamp on the desk, will you, Edwin? I'll prepare some mulled wine for that nightcap I promised.
Of course, Jack.
You'll probably notice, Mr. Landless, that I have the lamp so arranged as to illuminate a painting over the chimney place.
I have noticed it, Mr. Jasper.
You'll recognize the subject, of course.
Miss Rosa. I could hardly fail to do so, though the portrait is far from flattering to the original.
Don't be so hard on it, Mr. Landless. It was done by Edwin, who made me a present of it.
I'm sorry, Mr. Drood. If I had known I was in the artist's presence.
I doubt that your remark would have differed, Mr. Landless.
Perhaps it would not have, Mr. Drood.
Oh, come now, gentlemen. Let there be no more of this. The wine is prepared. So. And surely no lady, or at least the portrait of one, should intrude upon the drinking habits of good friends. For you, Mr. Landless.
Thank you, sir.
Edwin.
Thanks, Jack.
And now, for the first toast of the evening, I should like to propose one to my nephew, a most fortunate man.
A toast in truth, Mr. Jasper. I shall drink to it.
Thank you both, gentlemen.
Yes, Mr. Landless, I ask you to observe my nephew, for he is indeed one of the most fortunate men of the world.
And an enviable state, if I truly possess it, Jack.
How can you doubt it, my boy? A family estate that eliminates the burdens of economic necessity. Rosa, eager, waiting to supply you with the greatest blessings of domestic bliss and love. Quite different from your prospects and mine, is it not, Mr. Landless?
Yes, quite different, Mr. Jasper.
Upon my soul, Jack, I almost feel apologetic for having my way smoothed as you describe. Almost, but not quite.
Perhaps it might have been better for Mr. Drood to have known some hardships in the achievement of his possessions.
And why, pray, might it have been better for Mr. Drood to have known hardships?
Yes, Mr. Landless. Tell us why.
Because they might have made him more sensible of good fortune that is not the result of his own merit.
Have you known hardships, may I ask?
I have.
And what have they made you sensible of?
I have told you once before tonight.
You've told me nothing.
I told her that you take a great deal too much upon yourself.
You added something else to that, if I remember.
I did. I said that in my part of the world you would be called to account for it.
That part of the world is a long way off, I believe, at a very safe distance.
Stay here, then. Say anywhere that gentleman may be found.
What would you know of gentlemen, Landless? You may know a common thief or a common boaster when you see him, but you're surely no judge of gentlemen.
I have taken all I'm going to take from you.
Here now, Edwin. Stand still. Mr. Landless, give me that bottle.
I'll give it to your precious nephew. I warn you, Drood. I'll cut you down someday for this. I swear it.
The scene had gone well, I thought. Very well. And after Landless's enraged departure, after I had calmed Edwin down and sent him home, I waited for what I knew would inevitably follow. It was close to midnight when it did.
May I come in, Jasper?
Of course, Dean.
I understand you had some difficulty with my protégé tonight.
He told you?
Oh, there was no overlooking his wrought-up state when he came home. I questioned him at once. He must have been rather difficult.
Murderous might be a more exact term.
Murderous? Surely you exaggerate, Jasper.
I hardly think so.
But what could justify the use of such an expression?
The facts. I feel certain that if I had not been there to intervene, he would have laid Edwin dead at his feet.
Oh, unbelievable. And yet he did repeat to me the warning he gave young Drood.
That he'd cut him down someday?
His exact words, Jasper.
I think, sir, that you have in your charge a most dangerous man. One who might well attempt to carry out his threat against Edwin's life.
Oh, no, I can't believe that, Jasper. I'm confident that if we could get them together again, get them to shake hands upon it, all their differences could be resolved.
You're much more optimistic than I.
Surely it's worth a try for your nephew's sake, if for no other. Talk to him, I'll talk with Neville. I know he'll meet with Drood whenever and wherever you say.
Very well, Dean, I'll try. Though I say to you now, and you are my witness, I'm convinced that unless Neville Landless leaves Cloisterham, the end result could be nothing but tragedy. It was 2 days later that Dean Crisparkle brought me assurance of Neville's willingness to cooperate. Immediately I sought out Edwin Drood for a dinner on Christmas Eve, just the three of us. And so the stage was set, and the hours flew, and the ugly streets of Cloisterham turned bright and gay with the holly and the mistletoe. The dinner in my lodgings went cheerfully and well that Christmas Eve. The holiday spirit burned as brightly as the fire in the hearth. There was peace on earth to all men of goodwill. Not even the unseasonal storm that began to rage outside could dampen the gaiety of the evening. Rather, it served as a challenge, an opportunity to heighten the feeling of good fellowship that seemed to be born that night. It was sometime around midnight when the two men, arm in arm, took their departure.
You would suggest something like this, Jack. Fancy going to see the river at this hour on Christmas Eve. Only a madman would suggest such a thing.
And only two young madmen such as you would take up such a suggestion, if indeed you are to take it up.
Nothing could stop me from it now, Mr. Jasper. It's unbelievable that sluggish, muddy stream could ever become a raging torrent.
Nevertheless, you find it is so, Mr. Landless. One of the few worthwhile sights to behold in Cloisterham. Our river, reborn at the height of a storm. I warn you to be careful, however. The footing will be treacherous.
You're a wicked man, Jack. To inflame us over the idea and then attempt to draw us back. Well, you'll not succeed in stopping us now, eh, Neville?
No, Edwin. Nothing will stop us now.
Then come along. We'll be on our merry way.
There is little I can tell you of the night that followed, for there is little that I remember clearly. I know only that when dawn finally broke, I found myself in the organ loft, playing, my clothing wet through, and burning within my brain was a memory. The memory of a man walking alone through the wind and rain in the black of night. A man walking through the deserted streets of Cloisterham. The streets that suddenly, unknown to him, were no longer deserted. A memory, I said it was. Or was it a dream? I did not know. But as I sat there in that organ loft, in the dim light of Christmas morn, there was one thing I did know. Edwin Droop would never be seen again.
Suspense, presented by Autolite. Tonight's star, Mr. Herbert Marshall.
This is Harlow Wilcox speaking for Autolite, world's largest independent manufacturer of automotive electrical equipment. Autolite is proud to serve the greatest names in the industry. They are members of the Autolite family, as well as are the 98,000 Autolite distributors and dealers in the United States and thousands more in Canada and throughout the world. Our family also includes the nearly 30,000 men and women in 28 great Autolite plants from coast to coast and Autolite plants in many foreign countries, as well as the 18,000 people who have invested a portion of their savings in Autolite. Every Autolite product is backed by constant research and precision built to the highest standards of quality and performance. So remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
Next week, Part 2 of Charles Dickens' unfinished novel, The Mystery of Edwin Droop, at which time we will attempt to solve this literary puzzle. Our star, once again, Mr. Herbert Marshall. That's next week on Suspense. Suspense is produced and directed by Elliot Lewis, with music composed by Lucian Morowick and conducted by Lud Gluskin. The Mystery of Edwin Drood was adapted from Charles Dickens' unfinished novel by Sidney Marshall. In tonight's story, Terry Kilburn was heard as Edwin Drood, Betty Harford as Rosa, Ben Wright as Landless, Joseph Kearns as Dean Crisparkle, and William Johnstone as Durdles.
Buy Autolite resistor or standard type spark plugs, Autolite stay full batteries, and Autolite electrical parts at your neighborhood Autolite dealers. Switch to Autolite. Good night.
This is the CBS Radio Network.
Click. The Eversharp Chick Injector Razor, made by Eversharp, manufacturers of Eversharp Chick Injector Razors and Blades, and famous Eversharp Precision Writing Instruments.
Hideous things come out of the darkness to prowl the tortured earth. Evil hands stretch forth to seize. Evil eyes are watching. Unholy voices whisper and quarrel in the fearful silence. Death stalks. Loathsome, horrible death. Dare you put out your lights and listen to Boris Karloff in the story of horror in the deepening darkness? Dare you listen to Lights Out?
I'm glad you brought up the question of ethics, Ed. Sometimes I think science is too ethical. Stands in the way of research.
I don't know, David. Take your work, for example. It's wonderful, but you have to be very cautious. I think working with monkeys is about as far as you should go right now.
Oh, but Ed, David is past that stage. Why not show Ed the one you worked on today, darling?
If you'd like to see it, Ed, it's right in the lab.
Yes, I would. I saw it last night after you injected the poison.
I'll get it, David.
Thank you, dear. It's in the second cage.
Ruth's a wonderful girl, David. Must be a big help to you in your work.
Don't know what I'd do without her. But if she ever gets too interested in pure science, I'm going to lock her out of the lab and just make her go back to being a wife.
How do you find time for a wife?
Now, look here. All you practicing surgeons think of the research man as a machine. Not me, Ed. Ruth means more to me than all the discoveries I might make. Her happiness is all I live and work for.
Well, I can't say that I blame you. She's a very charming person.
Here he is.
Same one you saw last night, Ed. Stone dead. And there he is, just as healthy and alive as any other monkey.
Why, it's amazing, David. Naturally, I've followed all the experiments along this line, but you seem to have progressed much farther.
David can't go any farther with animals. He's ready for the next step, and he can do it.
Well, I'm all for research, David. But you have a moral obligation in this sort of thing. How do you know it'll work with human beings?
Oh, you're a surgeon yourself, Ed. You know that human beings are animals, just like all the subjects I've used. I know it'll work.
Well, knowing it won't get you far with society. You'll have to submit proof.
I know that, and I've tried every way I can think of to get a human being to demonstrate on.
He's tried insane asylums, penitentiaries, everywhere.
No one will listen to me.
Well, in a way, you can't blame them. Even to me, with my training, the idea seems, well, blasphemous.
My dear Ed, you can't stop scientific progress because of a so-called moral concept.
Besides, what could be less blasphemous than to triumph over death?
I'm sorry, but I can't see it that way. I wouldn't want to try it on me. When I'm dead, I want to stay dead.
Oh, that's foolish, Ed. Well, if I die first, I want David to use me for a subject.
Ruth?
Don't look so startled, Ed. She's always been my strongest supporter, but I'm not going to use her as a subject. I like her too well as a wife.
Still, it gives me the shivers to hear you talk that way, Ruth.
Why? I've seen David's work grow to where the technique is perfect. Before long, his experiments will be recognized by the whole medical world. And if I can help him achieve that goal, I'm willing to do anything. Living or dead. I mean it.
She said she wanted to do it, Ed, living or dead.
David, you're surely not going to hold it to that. Not now.
Of course I am. She meant it. But I called you over here tonight, Ed, because I need help.
Don't tell me that.
But I want you to help me bring Ruth's... To bring her here? That's exactly what I mean.
David...
Will you help me? Or must I bribe some stranger?
David, why don't you give this thing up? It's inhuman.
Ed, if I succeed, I'll have Ruth back. Don't you see how much it means?
Well, yes, if you're successful.
Oh, I've no doubt about that. Look, I've got my laboratory record. 714 times I performed the experiment on guinea pigs, rabbits, monkeys. 714 times it's been successful. Don't you see?
But, David, this is no laboratory experiment. Ruth was your wife.
She is my wife. The only woman I ever loved. That's why I want to bring her back here and start her breathing and living again.
There's an ugly name for what you're asking me to do, David.
I know. Grave robbery. But there's a better name for it, Ed. Death robbery. We'll rob old man Death. Kick the door shut. On the operating table.
I must say you are completely equipped.
It's surgery just as well as a lab. Everything we need is here.
There. Well, it's done.
Not yet.
You mean you want me to stay?
Ed, listen. Ever since Ruth... Well, I guess I've leaned on you for everything. I won't ask you to stay, but I do need you. Just a little longer.
All right, David. I'll stay.
Ruth will be the first to thank you when we succeed.
David, I'll always doubt this until I see Ruth living, breathing, smiling again.
It won't be long. Just a matter of 15 or 20 minutes.
If nothing happens. What will you do if your operation doesn't work?
Then you'll have just one more job to do as my friend.
And that?
Will be to bury both of us.
Oh, now, look, David.
If Ruth isn't alive again within a few minutes, I'll have lost her forever. And I'll have proved that my whole life's work is useless. I'll have reason enough to use any of a dozen tricks that any good surgeon knows. End the whole business. Oh, but don't look so horrified, Ed. We won't fail. Let's begin.
I should remind you once more, David, that you're usurping powers that belong to God Almighty.
I like to think that Providence has wisely held back the knowledge of things like this until we knew how to use them, and I know how. Hand me that large beaker.
All right. I'm not going to back out on you, David. What shall I do?
Do. You'll work as you haven't worked in surgery before. Thank heavens I've got your skill on my side. Now then, first strap the sphygmomanometer on her arm.
I just happened to think of something.
Keep moving. This is all a matter of timing.
But, David...
Here are your instruments. And I want the incision right here where I'm shaving the hair. Make a small incision just at the fontanelle while I prepare the solution.
David, have you considered...
Please, work fast.
But, Dave... What? She was embalmed, you know.
Of course I know that. I've something to replace the blood and counteract the fluid.
It's ghastly.
Finish the cut. I know what I'm doing.
Well, that's all for the incision, but after all...
Work nice. Now cut away the dura mater.
Entirely? Leave the brain exposed?
Yes, I'll fix that. I've done it 700-odd times.
This is no guinea pig or monkey.
Well, I hardly need reminding.
Sorry. What's that?
A compound I've synthesized myself.
What is it?
I call it digamma-paradiamine. Oh, I know that isn't chemically correct, but it's as close as I can get to it. I knew that something like it must exist. It took 3 years to track it down. It took me that long to make the first drop of it.
Oh, you know what you're doing, all right.
Yes, I do. Now then, if you're finished, take the leads from that storage battery there and attach the positive to the silver plate on the shelf. Put that at her feet.
I feel as if I were doing something unholy.
Place the tip of the negative in the incision you made in the skull. Be sure the tip of the wire actually penetrates the pia mater.
David, what if you bring her back?
I will bring her back.
But what if you bring her back and find she comes back without her soul?
What? Her soul?
Yes.
You're a surgeon, and you believe in a soul?
Well, I hesitate to say there is no such thing.
You've seen a good many deaths, haven't you? Have you ever seen any evidence that the soul escapes at death?
Perhaps I couldn't recognize the evidence.
Put it this way, then. If there is any soul, it either leaves the body or stays with it at death. Now, no reputable surgeon or physician has ever been able to report the slightest evidence of the soul's having left the body. So, the soul, if there is a soul, must stay with the body, a part of it. I'm ready now, if you've finished.
Everything's set.
Good. Close that switch then at the battery. Watch the meter and keep the current between plus and minus 5 of 150. There's a rheostat on the edge of the table. All right?
All right.
Now, I'm going to inject 10 cc's of adrenaline in the brachial artery.
Adrenaline?
Adrenaline and something else. There. God, she's beautiful, Ed.
Yes. She was.
She is. You'll see her in a few minutes, just as she was.
I wonder what you'll have to tell us.
Nothing. Death is only a transcendental sleep.
Do you really believe that, Dave?
Oh, well, what's the difference? How's the current?
Let's see. What? Well, it's jumped to 180.
Good. Bring it back to 150. That's the result of the injection.
On a dead body?
Let's say suspended animation. There are still a few things in surgery you don't know, aren't there?
I never dreamed of a reaction like that.
I'll show you more. Help me swing this lamp over here.
But
let the ammeter go. It'll hold steady for a minute now.
But it might jump again.
No, it won't. I've been all through this before. The reactions are exactly the same as the others.
What this lamp? X-rays?
No, it's a modification of the cathode ray. And just another of my developments. I call these theta rays.
Why do you call them that?
Well, most rays are named for the first few letters in the Greek alphabet. Alpha, beta, gamma, and so on.
Well, that explains theta. Didn't you say theta?
Yes. But theta was called the letter of death by the ancient Greeks.
Well, that's right. It was the first letter in the word thanatos. Death. Yeah, I see. A theta without death.
Maybe I was too sentimental.
Maybe. At least human for once.
Let's not argue. Here goes the ray. Now, quickly, the solution.
Inject it?
No, pump it. I built this pump especially for it. There's the pump switch, Ed.
Here?
Yeah. Turn it on and watch the ammeter.
Okay. It's jumping.
How far?
155.
Let it go.
160. 170.
Hold it there. It'll stay there now. Listen carefully.
Yes.
As soon as I turn off the pump, I want stigma readings.
But there won't be any blood pressure.
Wait and see. Give me a reading each time I ask for it and take them carefully. Are you ready?
This is fantastic. I'm ready.
Okay. Reading.
Systolic 0. Diastolic 2.
That's all right. It will take a few seconds. Now.
40.
My God. Diastolic. Hurry.
0.
My aortic valve's still open. I'll turn off the ray. Reading.
48. Over 42. David.
Not yet. Now the stopwatch. 7 seconds after I say go, I want the systolic. Now you have it?
Right.
Ready. Now, go.
$60.
Good. Just what it should be. Lord, look at my hand.
I don't wonder.
Oh, darling, just a few more minutes. All right, Ed. Now the ray again. We'll know the answer very soon.
The second act of Lights Out, starring Boris Karloff, will follow in just a moment. But now, listen to the sweetest shaving song ever written. Push-pull, click-click. Changes blades that quick. Push-pull, click-click. With the Eversharp Schick Injector Razor, yes, it clicks for men everywhere. Because the Eversharp Schick Injector Razor is the world's one and only razor with the automatic blade changer. No blades to unwrap. Fingers never touch the blade. Just push-pull, click-click. And a keen new blade is automatically locked in correct shaving position instantly. It clicks because the Eversharp Schick Injector Razor makes shaving 50% faster, 100% safer, 200% smoother. Just try the Eversharp Schick Injector Razor for 1 week. See for yourself the difference. It's a $1.75 value. Special now, only $1.25, complete with 20 blades. For the shave of your life, the rest of your life, switch to an Eversharp Schick Injector Razor. Get yours tomorrow. Push-pull, click-click. Buy an Eversharp Schick.
How long do you use the ray this time, David?
Not long. Give me a reading.
68. Over 67.
Now.
70.
Diastolic.
68.
Now.
David, 118. 76.
Close. Now.
120. That's it. 80.
The stethoscope. Quick. Here. Listen.
Sleep?
Yes, almost a coma.
She's all right otherwise?
As far as I can tell, her respiration's normal, pulse just a tiny bit fast, and reflexes slow, but apparently all right.
David, I feel I must apologize to you.
Apologize? Why?
Well, for doubting you, I suppose.
You'll learn to believe me.
Very calm in the face of all this. Do you realize that you've performed a miracle?
A miracle? I brought my wife back to me, as I promised her.
It's an unholy thing, but
we've conquered death. Is that unholy?
We have conquered death. May God forgive us.
She'll only wait now.
How long has she been asleep?
Let me see. 11 hours.
Hasn't spoken at all?
Not since that first scream, when she fell asleep.
Have you given her anything?
Just a few drops of brandy.
Have you tried to wake her?
No, but I think I'll try now.
Oh, wait a minute before you do.
Why?
Well, I hate to keep harping on this business about a soul, David. I realize this is no place for a philosophic discussion, but I can't help wondering why Ruth screamed when she first came back to life.
I think there's a logical explanation. After all, it must have been a physical shock.
That's true. Must also be true that there was a great mental shock involved. I think that's why she screamed, and I'm wondering whether there's been a permanent effect on her mind. Or, as I prefer to think of it, her soul.
Oh, you're simply borrowing trouble, Ed. I've never seen any sign of permanent damage in my other experiments.
Don't forget that Ruth was a human being.
Well, there's only one way to find out. I'm going to wake her.
You're not afraid?
Afraid? Of what? Ruth. Ruth. Wake up, darling. Ruth, dear. It's David speaking. Wake up, dearest. Ruth. Ruth. There, darling. No wonder it scared a poor girl. Ruth, it's David, dear. I kept my promise and you're alive again. Oh, you're all right, honey. It's David. You're... Ruth. Ruth.
David, what's the matter?
Ruth. God, it is her mind.
No, David. Her soul.
David, you'd better go out for a little exercise now.
I'll stay here with her.
I'll stay while you go out and walk around a bit. You've been there with her since 8 o'clock last night without any letter. Go on, I'll stay.
Ed.
I know, old boy. I'd give anything myself if we could undo what we've done, but...
Ed, what can I do?
Well, there may be something. Let's try an experiment when she wakes up again.
What kind of an experiment?
Well, let's see if we can talk to her, get her to say anything. If we can get a flicker of intelligence, maybe we can teach her, build up from a small fragment.
Maybe it might work. I'm going to wake her up and try it.
But not now. Why don't you take a walk? Relax a little. And get something to eat while you're out.
Eat? I can't eat. I'm going to wake her. Ruth. Ruth.
David, why not let her sleep?
She's waking up now. Ruth. Hello, Ruth. Are you waking up? Poor child.
Poor child.
There.
She repeats after me. A little. Maybe it will work, Ed. Ruth. David. It works.
Seems to. Ruth, say I want a glass of water.
Seems to.
I want a glass of water.
It's too long for her. Ruth. Say, Ruth loves David. Ruth loves David. Ruth loves David.
It's working, eh? Maybe. But what is she thinking?
I don't know.
Ruth,
stop it! Wait a minute, old man. Too much for you, tired as you are. Go on out and take a little walk, and I'll work with her for a while. Your nerves won't take much of this.
I guess you're right, Ed. I can't think anymore. I'll be right back.
Fine. I'll take good care of her and see what I can find out.
Be patient.
Don't worry, I will. And you get something to eat while you're out.
All right, I'll try.
Poor guy, this is really rough on him.
Rough on him.
Ruth.
Ruth.
We're kidding ourselves. There's nothing there. She's a parrot.
Dad!
Never mind, Ruth. Ruth, put down that scalpel.
Scalpel!
Don't hurt yourself. Ruth, stay away. Don't put it down. Think of David.
For God's sake, what happened?
Ruth. Scalpel.
I'll get something and fix you right up.
Wait. No use.
Now, look.
Doctor. Artery. No hope.
Ed. All right, Doctor. Your diagnosis is correct.
A minute or two left. Ruth's hiding. Watch out. No soul. She'll kill you, too.
What have I done, Ed? Everything I've done is wrong.
Wonderful technique, Doctor. Congratulations. What about soul?
Ed. Ruth. She's somewhere in the house. What if she gets out? A scalpel in her hands. There's been enough damage. Ruth! Ruth! Basement. I'd better take a gun. Ruth! Ruth! Wish I had more light. Ruth! Ruth! Ruth, now give me that scalpel. You'll hurt yourself. Ruth! Ruth, come back! Come back! Hello? Yes? Oh. Hello, Doctor. Well, I've been busy in the lab. No, there's nothing new. Just an experiment. No. Like so many experiments, it just didn't work out.
Eversharp Schick has just presented Boris Karloff in the first of the new series of mystery and terror stories, Lights Out. In just a moment, we'll tell you about next week's story. But first, no matter what kind of razor you use now, here's a challenge. There's a better, easier, faster way to shave. Eversharp Schick Injector Razor has banished forever 90% of the nuisance that makes shaving such a chore. Ends nuisance number 1, no time wasted. Eversharp Schick Injector Razor has been proved at least 50% faster. Ends nuisance number 2, it's safer. Patented guard bar prevents skin irritation, even under nose. Eversharp Schick shaves clean and smooth without skin irritation. Ends nuisance number 3, nothing to take apart or put together. World's easiest razor to clean. Just rinse, shake, put away. Ends nuisance number 4, no blades to unwrap. Fingers never touch the blade. Just push-pull, click-flick. Because Eversharp Schick's the world's one and only razor with the automatic blade changer that locks a keen new blade, the world's sharpest blade, in correct shaving position instantly. Yes, it's 50% faster, 100% safer, 200% smoother. So for the world's quickest, easiest, cleanest shave, change to Eversharp Schick Injector Razor. It's $1.75 value, but special now for only $1.25, complete with 20 blades. Buy yours tomorrow. Next week, Lights Out will bring you a story about the undead, the vampires who are doomed to wander alone through all eternity, seeking the blood of innocent ones. Be sure to listen next Wednesday night at the same time. Lights Out is produced and directed by Bill Lawrence. The script is by Paul Pierce and Willis Cooper. This is Ken Niles speaking for Eversharp, manufacturers of Eversharp chick injector razors and blades, and famous Eversharp precision writing instruments. For birthdays, weddings, anniversaries, and business gifts, remember the best gift of all is an Eversharp CA pen. Buy yours tomorrow during the sensational Eversharp CA pen sale. Buy now and save as much as 60%. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
And now stay tuned for the mystery program that is unique among all mystery programs. Because even when you know who is guilty, you always receive a startling surprise at the final curtain. In the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, transcribed by the Signal Oil Company to enable the entire production staff of The Whistler to enjoy a summer vacation. Signal, the famous Go Farther gasoline, invites you to sit back and enjoy another strange story by The Whistler.
I am the Whistler, and I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
And now for the Signal Oil Company, The Whistler's strange story. Man in the Way.
It was night, but even with the protection of darkness, Max Tyler crouched low on the apartment house fire escape. He was tense, alert, ready to run. And suddenly it happened. A window thrown up, an angry shout.
Hey, what are you doing?
Leaving.
Come back here. Helen, there was someone out there. Watch it. Wait, you! Wait!
Mrs. Wilson?
Yes, who is this?
It's Max Tyler, Mrs. Wilson. I'm afraid I don't have anything definite for you yet. I ran into a snag on the case. But don't you worry. I'll have something for you soon.
Oh, look, Mr. Tyler, I'd rather you didn't. I've changed my mind. I don't want you to do anything. Anything at all.
Oh, but wait a minute, Mrs. Wilson. What about my fee?
You already have it, Mr. Tyler. As much as I'm going to give you.
But
I told you. I no longer need your services. Good day, Mr. Tyler.
A phone click, and Max Tyler, private detective, isn't talking to anybody anymore. You can guess what's happened, too, can't you, Max? Yes, the suspicious wife in the case has done a better job of detecting than you have. And you're through. Another phone number that you can forget. There's only one phone number that you can count on anymore, isn't there, Max? You find yourself writing that special number on your desk pad, thinking that it deserves to be framed. The magic combination of numbers that means your girl. You reach to dial her number and stop as the door to your office opens.
Well, hello.
Hello. Mr. Max Tyler?
Yes, that's right. Can I do something for you?
I hope so. I can pay you quite well.
For doing what?
A simple job. For you. One that I'm sure you're most familiar with.
Mm-hmm. I think I get the picture. Do you know who she is?
No. I'm not even sure there is a she.
There's always a she. I mean, when things get this far.
What do you mean, this far?
Far enough for you to search out a private detective, tail your husband? That's it, isn't it?
You'll do it?
It's not the kind of work I like to take.
I'm able to afford the kind of fee I'm sure you'd like to take.
That can make a difference.
$100 a day. That's double what I understand is the customary reimbursement for a service of this sort.
Plus expenses. And they sometimes run high.
Plus expenses. 100 in advance.
Where do you live? What's your husband's name? And where does he work?
The name is Townsend, Bradley Townsend. Our address is 12 Wickton Drive. My husband doesn't exactly work anyplace. I mean, he has some interests, some investments and so forth.
Looks to me like he does pretty well. Or do you have a friend who raises mink and money trees?
I have my own money. My income is larger than my husband's. Considerably larger.
I get it. What you mean is your husband's investing is done with your dough.
That isn't important.
It is if you're buying mink to look good on somebody else.
My husband doesn't have access to that kind of money without my knowledge.
I see. You've kept a tight grip on the purse strings, only now he's double-crossed you by letting go of the apron strings, huh? You always know where your money goes, but you don't always know where your husband goes, and that's where I come in.
Well, you put it rather crudely, but I can see you comprehend the situation.
Yeah, sure, I get the picture.
What more do you need to know?
Oh, a few minor details, like what does he look like, what kind of car does he drive, the license number, when does he come home, and when doesn't he come home?
Well, he usually drives our town car. It's a Cadillac, black. License number H2N843. He's quite handsome, very. His face is youthful. Tan. Brown eyes, black hair. He's old enough to have gray hair. He dresses very well, in good taste. Tweeds and Oxford grays.
And up to now, he could do no wrong. You're just plain crazy about this guy you bought, aren't you, baby?
You get the picture. Just plain crazy.
And just plain scared you can't keep him.
Just plain scared I've already lost him. You asked one other thing. When does he come home? Well, the answer is that lately he doesn't. I mean, not really. When he comes, he never stays. He only comes home to change from the tweeds to the Oxford gray.
After I find out who she is, then what?
Then you get paid.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's okay with me, Mrs. Townsend. You buy the ticket, and I take $100 a day tour into your husband's private life.
Oh, and don't try to reach me at any time. I'll contact you.
Anything you say?
Find out who she is and where she is. Good night.
Just a minute.
Yes?
Your handbag.
I have it.
That's just what I mean. I think it could be in safer hands. When it comes to money, Mrs. Townsend, I'm sure you know exactly what you're doing. But when you start carrying something else around in your purse, you're liable to get into trouble that money can't get you out of. You better let me have that gun. That's better.
Mrs. Townsend meant business, didn't she, Max? But you want to keep your client out of trouble. And so now the gun she carried is in your pocket, out of harm's way. And you're ready to start a day's work, or rather, a night's. You go to Townsend's residence at the address Mrs. Townsend gave you. Wait quietly outside. And soon the man who is nothing but a description in your notebook appears. You follow as he drives away in the big black Cadillac with the license number you jotted down. The trail leads to a nightclub downtown. Park. And then wait. And then follow Mr. Bradley Townsend inside and casually approach the maitre d'.
Good evening, sir. Your pleasure?
Could I have that table right over there? The one just across from the gentleman being seated?
Certainly, sir. One moment. Chris.
Yes, sir?
Table 5 for this gentleman.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You sit quietly, studying your prey. He fits his wife's description, doesn't he, Max? Youthful somehow, tanned and handsome. Tonight his tweeds have been exchanged for an expensively tailored dinner jacket. You can understand why Mrs. Townsend would worry whenever he was out of her sight.
You wish to order now, sir?
Just another drink, waiter. The same.
Right away, sir.
You look around and notice that more than one woman in the room has her eyes fastened on Bradley Townsend. And then you notice his expression. Realize that the woman he is waiting for has entered the room. You turn slowly, following the line of Townsend's gaze. And then feel your fist clenching tight, and your other hand brings your drink down sharply on the tabletop.
What is it, sir?
Of all the women in the world, he has to choose mine. Mine!
Something wrong, sir?
What?
I said, is there something wrong, sir? Is there anything I can do?
No.
Yes?
Not you or anybody. It's just something for me to do.
You know, friends, in addition to being summer, this is also the time of year when more and more drivers switch to Signal, the famous Go Farther gasoline. Vacation-minded folks just naturally go for Signal's good mileage. But mileage, mind you, is only half of Signal's story. Just you talk with a few Signal customers, and you'll find they're equally enthusiastic about Signal's performance. After all, in order to give you such good mileage, today's Signal gasoline has to help your motor run more efficiently. And when your motor runs more efficiently, naturally you also enjoy quick starting, proud pickup, and smooth purring power. The things that make driving a real pleasure. So to get the most out of your vacation travel dollars, make the friendly Signal stations you'll find throughout the 7 western states your headquarters for happy mileage. And even if you're not planning a vacation trip, well, any time is a good time to power your car with Signal, the famous Go Farther gasoline.
Signal, Signal, Signal gasoline. Your car will go far with Go Farther gasoline.
It's a terrible shock, isn't it, Max? Seeing the man you were hired to follow in the company of the girl you love. You've never liked surprises, and this one is almost too much to bear, isn't it? You leave the nightclub, wait outside, your mind spinning with hate and confusion. Then you leave and drive to the apartment building where Barbara lives and go straight to her apartment on the 2nd floor. You take your key ring from your pocket and select one of the most important tools of your trade, a master key, and quietly open a door. Then close it carefully after you enter. You walk across the living room to the leather davenport near the window. Finally, after what seems like hours, you hear a key in the door.
Here we are. Had a wonderful time, Brad.
Glad you did. Barbara,
Yes?
you're a very beautiful woman. You know that.
Do I?
Come here.
It's early yet, Brad. You could stay a while. Wait, I'll turn on the light.
Thanks, baby, for turning on the light. I can take a better aim. Hello, Mr. Bradley Townsend.
Max.
Hello and goodbye.
Max, you've killed me. You're crazy.
Only about you, Barbara.
What are you going to do now?
That depends on you. Suppose you tell me. What are you going to do now?
Max, you know how it is with us. The same. It'll always be the same.
And him? Where did he fit into the picture?
Well, the only place you don't. He took me to nice places, bought me nice presents.
He sounds real nice.
I guess maybe he was. I really didn't notice. You're not a nice guy, Max, but you're for me.
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying it. I'll go all the way with you, Max. Even if it's murder.
There isn't any if, baby. This is murder.
Tell me what you want me to do.
I gotta play it dumb. That means you gotta play it smart. And I gotta trust you. Up to a point, at least. Like, say, the point of a gun.
I mean what I said, Max. Every word of it.
A girl always means what she says. When she says it.
I'm not just a girl, Max. I'm your girl. Remember?
There's never been anything wrong with my memory. From now on, just make sure that yours stays in working order.
What are you doing?
Checking Mr. Bradley Townsend's identification.
What'd you find?
Real money. Quite a wad. Considering the story I got from the little woman.
You've met his wife?
She's my client. She hired me to find out about you.
I'm sorry, Max. That was rough.
Too late for tears, baby. Things could get rougher now, but not if you stick by me, and not if we play it smart. Listen, baby, I'm keeping this money. It's no use to him now, and she's got plenty more where this came from, so I'm playing finders keepers. When all this is over, I'll supply those nice things you seem to want so badly.
You're going to make this look like robbery?
It's going to look exactly like what it could have been. Murder. Motive jealousy. I'll leave enough dough on him to make it look good. And I'll also leave this. The biggest, fattest clue a cop could ask for.
Your gun?
It's Mrs. Townsend's gun.
Oh. And that's how it's going to be.
That's how it was, baby, and don't forget it.
I'm sorry this happened to him, but if anything ever happened to you, Max, I don't think I could stand it. And if it's up to me, nothing's going to happen to you.
Then that's the way I leave it, baby. Up to you.
It's a bad situation, isn't it, Max? Having to depend on a girl who has already double-crossed you. But there is something on your side. Barbara knows you mean business. She can't help but know that after having seen you kill. Quickly you rehearse her in the parts of the story that she can tell. A story you're certain will hold up if Barbara maintains it. You make her repeat it over and over and over again. Then, as she calls the police in response to your instructions, you hurry downstairs, slip out a back door of the apartment. The following day finds you in the office of Lieutenant Carter of Homicide. Your visit is voluntary. So is the information you provide.
Well, that's the way I figured it, Lieutenant, but maybe I could be of some help to you on this case.
Yeah, maybe you can. Only aren't you playing this a little out of character, Tyler? The way I remember it, you got no use for police routine. How come this time you're asking for it?
I'm not asking for anything, Lieutenant. This time I've got something to give. You can take it or leave it. Doesn't make any difference to me.
Oh, we'll take it, Max. For whatever it's worth.
I've only got facts to offer. Number one, that Mrs. Bradley Townsend was a client of mine. Number two, that she was jealous of her husband. And number three, that when she came to my office, she had a gun in her possession. Those are the facts. You can add them up for yourself.
Oh, not yet. Not until I have them all.
Yes, sir?
Bring Mrs. Townsend in, please. Yeah, perhaps your client can supply some of those missing facts. You think so, Tyler?
Perhaps. If you know a fact when you see one. Isn't it sometimes hard to tell when you start asking somebody who might be the murderer?
It's police routine to sort out the facts after we get them. And as for who we get them from, why, anybody might be the murderer, Max. In a homicide case, everybody is suspect. That's routine, too. Hello, Mrs. Townsend. Won't you sit down?
Thank you, Lieutenant.
You know Mr. Tyler here.
Yes, I know him.
Now, Mrs. Townsend, what I would like you to do is to start at the beginning again and tell me your whole story.
Oh, but I already have. I've told you all that I can.
You insist you did not kill your husband.
I could not kill my husband. I didn't even know where this Barbara Allen lived.
Now, Barbara Allen claims you were hiding in her apartment when she and your husband returned from a nightclub. That you shot him deliberately as soon as she turned on the light.
How could I have gotten into her apartment without a key?
Oh, I don't know. But there are many ways. Maybe Miss Allen left the door open when she went out. Or maybe you happened to have a key that fit. There's lots of ways. Why would Miss Allen say you did it if you didn't?
I don't know.
Now, that's the statement of an eyewitness, Mrs. Townsend. You admit you were jealous of your husband. You admit he was killed with your gun.
I admit, as you put it, to everything that is the truth. I told you about the gun. It's mine. But it was taken away from me. By Mr. Tyler.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. That'll be all for now. Sergeant, you show Mrs. Townsend out.
I'm certainly sorry this happened, Lieutenant. Maybe if I'd been called in on the case earlier, I mean, if Mrs. Townsend had come to me sooner, maybe I could have stopped her.
Stopped her from what?
Why, from killing her husband. That's what you're saying she did, isn't it?
Oh, maybe that's what I'm saying, but what she's saying is she didn't. So that makes us only even.
Well, then you've got no real proof against her.
Maybe, maybe not. I've got this gun. She says it's hers. Ballistic says it killed her husband.
And?
Well, you heard her. She says something else. She says you took the gun away from her before it killed her husband.
I should have. I wish now that I had, but I didn't.
Well, go on.
Well, when she came to my office to hire me to tail her husband, I saw she had a gun in her handbag. I told her guns had a way of getting people into trouble they couldn't get out of. I said she'd better give me the gun. But she didn't. She gave me a promise instead.
What was the promise?
She promised to leave her husband up to me.
So you let her keep the gun?
Yeah, it looks like that was my mistake.
Oh, looks like it was hers. Maybe.
Maybe?
Well, she says you took her gun. You say you didn't. We're still only even.
I see.
I'm glad you do. After I talk with our eyewitness, Barbara Allen, again, maybe I'll see, too.
Okay, Lieutenant. When you do come up with all the answers, let me know, will you? Now that I find out I'm considered a suspect in the case, I'm more interested in it than ever.
Well, don't you worry, Tyler. You'll hear from me.
The lieutenant's not satisfied to have an open and shut case, is he, Max? You're sure he's out to polish his badge with a little personal glory. He probably figures if he doesn't do everything the hard way, he'll be labeled a dumb cop. And to you, that's just what he is, isn't he, Max? He represents the very thing that kept you from becoming a regular cop on the force. Police routine. The monotonous study, the ceaseless probing, the repetitious, unrewarding duty of police routine. You only hope that your sweetheart, Barbara Allen, will understand this attacking mechanism of police routine and be equipped to withstand its many masked maneuvers.
Hello?
Tyler?
Oh, that's right, Lieutenant. Found any new answers to the Townsend case?
Looks like the case is closed, so far as I'm concerned.
Well, what do you mean?
I mean, it's going to be up to a judge and jury from here on in. And it doesn't look too good for Mrs. Townsend. And there's an eyewitness who'll swear to the crime. It sort of puts the suspects back against the wall.
The eyewitness's story sealed up the case for you?
Yeah, it looks that way. Townsend's girlfriend is in the clear, and so, incidentally, are you.
Well, thanks. That's nice to know. I'll be seeing you, Lieutenant.
This summer, when you start off on your vacation trip, it'll be mighty handy to have a good map in your car. And there's no map handier than the free one you'll find at Signal service stations. No need to squint to find where you're going on a Signal map. They're jumbo size for quick, easy reading. And no need to wrestle with them, getting them open or folded again. Signal maps have the latest accordion fold for more convenient handling. But that's only the beginning. In addition, Signal maps contain a guide to interesting places to visit, plus a traveler's radio guide, so you can follow your favorite programs as you travel, plus enlarged sections of metropolitan areas. And if you happen to need a street map to guide you in the larger cities of the Pacific Coast states, Signal stations have them free, too. In fact, whether you need a free map, some helpful advice, or a tank full of the famous Go Farther gasoline, you'll find that friendly, independently operated Signal stations have just about everything it takes to make your vacation driving or your everyday driving more pleasant.
Signal, signal, signal gasoline. Your car will go far with Go Farther gasoline.
Yes, Max, things look good, don't they? The way you have it figured, you've a full house. You have your girl, your freedom, and a well-fed wallet, thanks to the late Mr. Bradley Townsend. So here in the safety and seclusion of your office, you take out the crisp new bills to feast your eyes on them. And in your preoccupation, you fail to hear your office door open.
King was in his counting house counting out his money. Hello, Tyler.
What's the matter, Lieutenant? You got such tender knuckles you can't knock on a door?
Here, wait a minute, Max. Leave the money on the desk. Nothing's going to happen to it with a cop in the room.
I figure the cop's not going to stay long. Look here, Lieutenant. You got no right to come busting into a private office, and keep your hands off my door.
Now, what's worrying you? Don't private gumshoes come by their money honestly? Of course, I had no idea business was so good in your line.
What's that crack for?
No crack, Max. Hey, how about fixing us both a drink? It looks like you got some good stuff there.
Help yourself.
Oh, thank you. We'll toast the wind-up of the Townsend case.
That's okay with me. I'm tired of it.
Of course, in the Townsend case, you didn't exactly earn your dough, did you? What I mean is you said you never did get on Townsend's trail before he met his untimely end.
I'd just been called in on the case. I hadn't had a chance to even get a line on the guy yet.
Well, like I said, you didn't exactly earn your dough this time.
Just what are you getting at, Lieutenant?
Cherchez la femme, Max. And that means you never did find the woman either. The doll that Bradley Townsend was double-crossing his wife for, is that right?
That's right. I didn't even have the chance to get a line on Townsend, so how could I find the girl? Why don't you just get to the point, Lieutenant? What's up?
All right, Tyler, I'll explain it to you. I think you already know that when a dumb cop goes on a case, it's routine to check every angle. Even when a big clue stares him right in the face, like Mrs. Townsend's gun. Or even when he's got a convenient eyewitness, like Miss Barbara Allen.
So?
Well, this case was no different. I follow routine. I check every angle, including every line I can get on you.
You won't find anything on me.
I already found it.
What do you mean? I tell you, my slate's clean.
Is it? Now, Max, if you never knew Bradley Townsend's girlfriend, how come you knew her telephone number?
I didn't.
I think you did. You wrote it down.
Wrote it? Look, Lieutenant, you can't pin anything on me. You can't prove I knew that number.
Oh, yes, I can. I admit it might be tough, Max, almost like magic, but I can do it even if I have to do it with mirrors.
What are you talking about?
On your desk here, you wrote down the number.
You're guessing, Lieutenant. I write down lots of numbers, but I always throw them away.
Ah, yes, but this time you made a mistake, Max. Before you threw this one away, you blotted that number on your desk blotter. You see?
My blot? Barbara's phone number.
Yeah, Barbara's phone number 12 times. Sort of says your own number is up. Right, Max?
Let that whistle be your signal for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, each Sunday night at this same time. Meantime, Signal Oil Company and the friendly independent dealers who help you go farther with Signal gasoline hope you'll remember. Regardless of what gasoline you use, you'll enjoy more miles of happy driving if you drive at sensible speeds, obey traffic regulations, and avoid taking chances. You may even save a life, possibly your own. Featured in tonight's story were Bill Foreman as the Whistler, Les Tremaine, Alice Reinhardt, Joe Gilbert, Larry Dobkin, and Herbert Litton. The Whistler was produced and directed by George W. Allen, with story by Shirley Gordon, music by Wilbur Hatch, and was transcribed and transmitted overseas by the Armed Forces Radio Service. The Whistler was entirely fictional, and all characters portrayed on The Whistler are also fictional. Any similarity of names or resemblance to persons living or dead is purely coincidental. Remember to tune in at this same time next Sunday, when the Signal Oil Company will bring you another strange story by The Whistler. Marvin Miller speaking for the Signal Oil Company. Stay tuned now for Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is the CBS Radio Network.
This is Orson Welles, speaking from London. The Black Museum, it's a repository of death. Here in the grimy stone structure on the Thames, which houses Scotland Yard, is a warehouse of homicide, where everyday objects, a phonograph record, a postcard, a color photograph, a simple statuette, all are touched by murder. Here's 2 scribbled notes, bits of paper with 3 words scrawled across them. Slogan known around the world, a slogan you recognize. Words created in the kind of lonely, fond men far from home, men at war, have enjoyed through all of history.
What's it mean, Inspector?
It would be nice to know, Sergeant. I suspect that if we did know, we'd have the answer to this nasty business.
Well, this killer, sir, it's possible he's an American. That phrase was American, sir, all through the war. Kilroy was here.
Kilroy was here. And he's still here. In the Black Museum.
From the annals of the Criminal Investigation Department of the London Police, we bring you the dramatic stories of the crimes recorded by the objects in Scotland Yard's Gallery of Death, the Black Museum.
Here we are, in the Black Museum. Scotland Yard's Museum of Murder. Here's a typewriter. Your secretary uses one. Perhaps your son or daughter write their school essays on a machine like this. This one is used to write a letter. That letter brought a woman to an address, and death to the author of that letter. Here are the notes. Scrawled on lined paper such as children use, children who are just learning to write. And a photograph showing the same 3 words scratched on a wooden surface. 3 times 3 was a number in witchcraft in ancient times. 3 times 3 words were written. This wasn't witchcraft, merely murder. Began for Inspector Liggett and Sergeant Porter in the usual manner. A telephone rang in the inspector's office at the yard.
Inspector Liggett here.
Sergeant Garth, 11th District Metropolitan Police, sir. We're at the Royal Roost, sir. Private supper club, 15 Marley Court. The proprietor, Matt Bolton, has been shot and killed, Inspector.
Very well, we'll be right along. Well, so Matt Bolton has finally departed this earth, Porter.
In the expected manner?
In the expected manner.
You wouldn't know Matt Bolton. 99 chances out of 100 you never heard of him. But enough people had heard of him to net Matt Bolton a neat 6-figure income from various protective associations and entertainment enterprises, such as the Royal Roost, one of those small private supper clubs, manages to keep its license by operating just within the law. The club was easy to find. In place of a neon sign, there was a police constable at the door.
Yeah, looks like it's this way, I think.
Coffee in here, Inspector?
It always is in these places. Apparently a good many people prefer to amuse themselves breathing a combination of tobacco and poor liquor fumes rather than good fresh air.
Quite a costume on those girls.
The roosters in the Royal Rooster. Get it, Sergeant?
I've never seen a rooster with so little on besides tail feathers.
Yeah, neither have I. Look, we better get to work, Sergeant.
The two policemen crossed the nightclub, skirted the dance floor, and quietly passed through the doorway near the bandstand. To their left, another door stood open, revealing a cubicle complete with mirror lights, another girlish rooster, a man, and a body. A body full length on the floor. The girl was saying,
"Look, we simply can't send the chorus out once more. Do I get to do my act or don't I?"
I'm Inspector Liggett, Sergeant. The young lady may do her act. I doubt if she'll try to go outside the club in that costume.
Well, thank you, Inspector. First this man said he thought the show ought to go on so the customers wouldn't be disturbed, and then he held me here. Well, look, that's my cue. I'll be back. Don't worry, I'm not going anyplace. You're so right about that, Inspector.
Knows her way around, that girl, sir. Found the body. Didn't turn her hair.
So I noticed. Try the weapon, Sergeant?
No, sir, not in here.
Porter, check the exits. Very good, sir.
Oh, we've done that, sir. Only two. The way you came and the back door, fire exit. No one in the kitchen saw or heard anything. We haven't touched the body. Waited for you and the medical examiner, sir.
Very good. All right. Turn out his pockets, Porter.
Right, sir. Here's something, Inspector. Tucked in his breast pocket.
Quite a touch. I take it you didn't see this, Garth?
No, sir. We left the body strictly as it was.
Odd. Almost a signature. It's a note. Kilroy was here.
For a moment, memories of other days crowded into the tiny dressing room. A phrase which had meant chuckles once seemed incongruous in that atmosphere of violent death. And then Mabel was back with boyfriend.
May I inquire who your escort is, Miss Martin?
Larry King, meet Scotland Yard.
Gentlemen, how do you do? Is this your usual practice, Mr. King?
If you mean escorting Miss Martin home, that's correct.
You are good friends?
We're engaged.
I see. Miss Martin, before you leave us to get dressed, during your employment here, have you ever had any trouble with Mr. Bolton?
Do you mean, did he make advances?
Yes.
Well, naturally.
I see. Mr. King, did you know about these advances?
I did.
Did you ever have any trouble with Mr. Bolton?
Nothing to speak of?
Of course, it never is anything to speak of. You served during the recent war?
I did. 8th Army. All the way from Tobruk to northern Italy.
Does the expression Kilroy was here mean anything to you?
The Americans, 5th Army, they used it. I've seen it many times.
Very well. Leave your addresses, both of you, with Sergeant Garth here. And don't leave the city. We may need you. That's all for now.
Now the routine begins. Inspector Liggett and Sergeant Porter return to the yard. The orders go out.
Have them run a complete check on Bolton's pals. They'll all have alibis, but run the check anyway.
That was a start. Now the patient waiting, putting together the few facts available. It's the hardest part of police work anywhere.
So, Porter, no prints on that note except yours and mine.
Correct, Inspector.
What have you got on King and the girl?
She's, remarkably respectable.
Nothing remarkable, Sergeant. What about him?
He's a lawyer in the city. Rather successful. Good reputation.
Ever crossed Bolton's path in his work?
Nope. He's a copyright lawyer. Deals with writers, mostly.
Nothing there, then.
Takes patience. Lots of it. Check and recheck. Wait for information. Wait for the telephone to ring.
Inspector Liggett here.
Detective Ashton, sir. 23rd District.
Go ahead, Ashton.
At 14.5 Haven Mews, sir. We've been watching the place, sir. That King fellow lives there.
Yes, I know.
The superintendent's wife has been found, sir, on the cellar steps, strangled. We found the note in her apron pocket. Kilroy was here, it says.
Wait for the telephone to ring, and when it does ring, another death, another note. No solution. Merely complication piled on complication. A short while later, in the basement apartment of the newly widowed janitor.
You found her yourself, Mr. Evans?
Yes, sir. Lying there she was on the cellar steps. I was going down to look at the oil burner.
I see. Now, your wife have any enemies, Mr. Evans?
No, sir, no. Where would the likes of us come in, having enemies? Quarrelsome a little, you might say. But what woman isn't?
Oh, she quarreled with you?
With me, mostly. Not that I could blame her. It's hard work, a place like this, you know. Once in a while with a tenant. Well, the children in 4B, for instance, they write on the walls. So my wife argues with the mother.
Mm-hmm.
The nice young man in 6G lets the bathtub run over. 5G complains. My wife scolds Mr. King.
I see, yes. Now, is Mr. King at home now?
Oh, I believe so, sir.
All right. Thank you. We'll do our best to find whoever killed your wife, Mr. Evans.
Oh, thank you, sir. She had a temper, I know, but she never did no real harm.
Up in the self-service elevator on the 6th floor. Find 6G and ring the bell. Have it opened, not by Larry King, but by Mabel Martin. Far more fully dressed than the last time the inspector saw her.
Well, Miss Martin, collected the insurance yet?
Cut it out, Inspector. I don't have to stand for that sort of thing. In fact, I could ask you for a warrant before I let you in here.
But you won't, will you, Mr. King?
Ask your questions. They're about Mrs. Evans, I assume.
Oh, Larry, please.
Don't worry, darling. Ask your questions, Inspector.
You quarreled with Mrs. Evans?
I did. I wanted my bathtub fixed. The drain was backing up. She told me to go to fix it myself, that's all.
You're sure that was all? Murder seems to have a way of happening in your vicinity, King.
Is that an accusation?
What's all this to do with Matt Bolton?
I don't know. But there is a link. Quite a clear link, Miss Martin. You see, on Mrs. Evans, we found a bit of paper, and on it was scrawled, Kilroy was here. Any ideas on that, ex-soldier, now Solicitor King?
Solicitor King had nothing to say. His puzzlement, his lack of knowledge seemed honest enough. Inspector Liggett drew no conclusions. He waited. The routine continued. The reports came in.
The Martingale is a new job. Same type of club. I've seen the act, Inspector. Same songs. More clothes.
Nothing on Bolton's cronies. Every one of them has an alibi.
Yes, King seems to follow a set routine, Inspector. To the office, back home, dinner, then calls for the girl. Even eats his lunch at the same time every day in the same restaurant.
Nothing much to go on there, just a time of waiting. A week passed. Telephone rang once again.
Inspector Liggett here.
Detective Ashton, sir. We've another one for you.
What?
Yes, sir. A butcher this time. Name of Andrews. 2 blocks from the apartment house where King lives. Head bashed in with his own mallet. Scratched on the chopping block with one of his own knives is the same old message, sir. Kilroy was here.
Kilroy was here. Familiar words with a smile in their words to remember fondly. 3 times they appear. On a butcher's block, on scraps of paper, and today they can be seen in the Black Museum. A third killing, and signed exactly the same way. Kilroy was here. More, this murder had taken place within a few blocks of 14.5 Haven Mews, where Larry King lived. The same young man who was the secret fiancé of the singer, and whose dressing room the first body had been found. The same young man who lived in the house where the janitor's wife had been strangled. Inspector Liggett lost no time reaching the scene of the latest crime.
First of all,
Ashton.
Yes, sir.
Anything fresh?
Just the things I reported, sir. There's the mallet, the weapon.
Yeah.
The message was scratched with this knife.
Any prints?
The laboratory crew are trying to raise some. Nothing yet.
Very well. Who's the woman?
The widow.
Mrs. Andrews, I really dislike bothering you with questions at this time, but you understand that speed may be the essence now.
Yes. Yes, of course, Inspector.
I understand that it was you who found your husband.
Yes. I stopped here to get some money for a dress. It'll have to be a black one now.
Did you always come to him for that kind of money?
Well, Jim had his ways. He was considerably older than I am. He seemed just strong when we first married. Well, later he was... Well, it changed to domineering.
I understand, but now look, just a few more questions, please. Does the phrase on the chopping block mean anything to you?
Kilroy was here? No, it's just a... Well, I think I heard it on the radio once or twice.
From the way you described your husband, I'd say he was rather, well, positive in his opinion.
A mild way of putting it. Positive. Domineering, a man who brooked no argument. As the questions went on, the picture became more clear of a large, almost brutish man who covered his deficiencies with bluster and bullying. Finally...
just one more point, Mrs. Andrews. Did your husband ever argue with his customers? I mean, did he make any enemies among them?
Well, some. Only over little things.
Can you give me a specific instance?
Well, last week.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was last week. A nice young man said Jim was overcharging him. They had words. The man, his name is Larry King, from the apartment house on Haven Mews, he swore he'd never buy here again.
I see.
Have I helped, Inspector?
You may have. Just a little time will tell, I suspect. Just a little time.
A little time. Within the hour, Larry King was in custody, taken in charge for 24 hours on suspicion of complicity. His fingerprints revealed...
nothing.
His answers to the barrage of questions revealed...
nothing.
Wearily, the inspector and Sergeant Porter returned to the office to face unrelated facts and a no-progress report. Wearily, the inspector picked up the receiver of his office intercom.
Yes, Sergeant?
You have a caller, sir.
Who is it?
Miss Mabel Martin, sir. She insists on speaking with you.
Miss Martin was ushered in, seated in front of the desk.
I've got something to tell you, Inspector.
Please do.
Well, Larry didn't kill anybody.
Didn't he?
No. I did.
Steady, Sergeant. Please take down Miss Martin's statement. Now, I must warn you, Miss Martin, anything you say will be taken down in writing and may be used in evidence.
Yes, I understand.
Now the floodgates opened.
I killed all three of them and left the notes to make it look as though Larry did it.
So simple, so obvious.
Matt Bolton threatened me. He said if I didn't come back to him, he'd change his insurance policies and tell Larry about it. Well, I shot him. It was a .22 that Larry had given me.
One death accounted for. The policeman listened gravely.
Mrs. Evans was always snooping. She threatened to tell Larry about Matt and me. I did it in the cellar, behind the coal pile. I strangled her.
Quite logical. The inspector waited.
Andrews, the butcher, I used to shop there for Larry. Andrews made some advances. He reached for me, and I grabbed a meat cleaver. And then I scratched the note on the wood. That's the story, Inspector.
Yes. Tell me, how much do you weigh, Miss Martin?
About 107 pounds. Why, what's that got to do with...
Sergeant Porter, what was the caliber of the bullet found in Matt Bolton?
.38 caliber, sir.
Thank you. And did you notice a coal pile in the cellar at 14.5 Haven Mews?
It's an oil burner, sir. Quite modern.
Thank you. And the weapon in the Andrews case?
A mallet, sir. Not a cleaver. A mallet.
And, Sergeant, can you picture a young woman of 107 pounds knocking out and killing a man of Andrew's size?
Not very well, sir.
Of course, it's obvious. Her heart and her courage are as large as she is, if not larger, but...
Oh, all right, have your fun. I've made a fool of myself, but Larry didn't kill anyone. I know that. I know it. You can't do this to her.
Look. I wouldn't worry, Miss Martin, if I were you. In fact, if I were you, I'd hurry out to the front of the building. Mr. King is about to be released, and I think you'll want to meet him there, won't you?
Oh, Inspector. Oh, Sergeant, Oh, forgive me, please.
How about it, Porter? Care to have a girl like that to marry?
Yes, sir. For more reasons than one. Where are we now, sir?
Offhand, Porter, I'd say we were just about where we were when we first heard of the Andrews killing. Put on your thinking cap, Sergeant. This is quite a problem.
They sat there in silence. Their minds sifted fact after fact. And once they'd been through the meager supply of facts on hand, they started over again. At one point, the inspector said, half to himself,
"There's something we're overlooking. Probably quite a simple point. It usually is, but..."
And he was quite right. In fact, the inspector was quite appalled, so appalled. He spoke in what amounted to a whisper.
"Sergeant, hand me that telephone directory, please."
What? Oh, yes, sir. Can I help you, sir?
No, thank you. Look, just get your hat, Sergeant.
Get my hat?
Yes, we're going back to 14.5 Haven Mews.
That's King's address.
Yes, and according to the directory, it is also the residence of one Joseph Kilroy, one of the 7 Kilroys listed in the London telephone directory.
It doesn't take long from Scotland Yard to Haven Mews, not when you travel by police car with the siren going. It doesn't take long to race upstairs to a 3rd-floor apartment, ring the doorbell.
Come in, gentlemen. I heard your arrival in the street. What took you so long, gentlemen? No, really, no.
Mr. Kilroy, I must warn you, anything you say...
that's all right, I understand. Don't mind in the least.
Well, I'll be...
Watch him, Sergeant.
I am, sir.
Frankly,
Liggett. Inspector Liggett.
Oh, yes, thank you. Frankly, Inspector, I'm rather annoyed with you. Here I go to all the trouble of killing a man so that nice young fellow in 6G could marry that cute little baggage he's going with. And you arrest him instead of me.
I see. I'm sorry about that, too. So you killed Bolton?
Saw him one night treating the girl really nastily in front of his house.
If I may ask, why the woman?
Oh, she was a nagger. Really annoying. And after I killed one, it struck me I couldn't be hanged more than once. So I might as well do old Evans, too.
Thoughtful of you, Mr. Kilroy.
That butcher was a private matter, though. He kicked a dog once. I saw him. Didn't treat his wife any better. No kids. Figured he'd leave her his money. So I got him with his own mallet. Quite simple, you see.
And you signed your name to each one?
Oh, of course. Good deeds are scarce in this world. Thought I ought to get proper credit each time. Now, if you'll excuse me...
Sergeant! Good work, Sergeant.
He's strong, sir. Stronger than he looks.
Cases like this usually are. Well, we'll need the ambulance. Not the wagon this time, and use the telephone directory, Sergeant. I find them quite useful books when I remember to use them.
Who'd have thought it, sir? How many of our murderers are considerate enough to sign their killings, sir?
Murderers don't sign their work, do they? Unless, of course, their sense of humor is as twisted as their valuation of human life. This killer did autograph his killings. And today those notes can be seen in the usual place for such things, in the Black Museum. Joe Kilroy was insane, of course, by every normal standard. Insane enough, certainly, to sign his name to 3 murders. And by every normal standard, the gentlemen of Scotland Yard acted correctly within the rules of their profession in tracing every possible motivation, every possible suspect, before they came to the obvious solution. After all, it is logical that when men spend their lives dealing with the deliberately obscured, they can actually fail to notice the openly obvious. Now the notes remain in their usual place, in Scotland Yard, in the Black Museum. Until we meet again in this same place for another story about the Black Museum, I remain as always, obediently yours.
Mutual presents The Mysterious Traveler. This is The Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, that it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can. Where are we going? Why, today we're going to venture into a fantastic and little-known field, the human mind. It's a story I call Mind Over Murder. On a stretch of green lawn at the top of high cliffs looking over the Atlantic Ocean, the great Ricardo, who claims to be the world's greatest mind reader, is practicing his art. He's preparing for the vaudeville tour he's soon to begin. Assisting him are his lovely young wife, Ellen, and Carl of Garza.
That's it, Carl. Tie the handkerchief tightly over my eyes. Now, are you sure I can see nothing? Nothing whatever?
I know positive you can't, Mr. Ricardo. I'll bet my month's wages on it.
You are quite right. My eyes are in darkness. But my mind is not. Ellen?
Yes, Ricardo?
Did you bring out the basket of books I asked you to?
Yes, I have them here.
All right, Carl. Go pick a book out of the basket. Any book at all.
Yeah, sure thing, Mr. Ricardo. Now what?
Now open it to a page. Any page. Have you done this?
Yeah.
Good. Now concentrate on the book. Think about the title and the number of the page. Think about it now. Yes, it is coming to me. The title is Murder by Experts, and page, you have opened it to page 27.
That's right, Mr. Ricardo. Gosh, I don't know how you do it.
Well, it's very simple, Carl. With the eyes of my mind, I read your thoughts. Now, I want to try something else. Ellen?
Yes, Ricardo.
Sit in the wicker chair over here on my right. Turn your back to both me and Carl.
You aren't going to...
Please do not argue. Do as I say.
I just tried yesterday. My head ached for hours. Please. Don't move.
It will come easier in time. Sit down.
All right.
Make your mind free of all thoughts. Well, I want you to look with your mind into Carl and to read there what his eyes see on the page before him.
Must I read?
I have said that you must.
All right. I'll try.
Now, Carl.
Yes, Mr. Ricardo?
Take another book, open it to the first page of a story, and concentrate on it.
Right. I get you.
Now, Ellen, read the page at which Carl is looking. I command you, by the powers of the mind, read.
My head hurts so it's so the book on split.
Read.
I see something. Words, title, vision, judgment, H, G,
Continue. Read.
No, I can't make it out so good. I can't see anything clearly. Oh, my head.
Carl, was she correct?
Yes.
Well, that's all I want to know. You can leave now.
Okay, Mr. Ricardo. The roses need watering. I'd better tend to them right away. Yes, right away.
That's the interesting. She's afraid of me. How do you feel, Ellen?
My head hurts.
There, my dear. It will quickly pass. And in no time you'll find the whole thing as easy as powder in your nose.
Ricardo, I can't. I just can't help you when you tell me to try to read something in Carl's mind. I feel as if my brain were going to split.
You will help me, my beautiful one. You will see. Now, I'm going into the house. You may sit there and look at the ocean until your head feels better. Or you will have company. I see my handsome young press agent coming home. You must be nice to him, Ellen. He's really a very good press agent.
Oh, there you are, Ricardo. I was looking for you.
It's too bad your mind is one of the few I cannot penetrate, Tom, but I would have known that. Was it about something special?
Oh, just about these advanced stories to go out to the Boston editors. I have them all written.
Oh, excellent. I'm going up to the house now, and I'll read them right away. Stay and keep Ellen company, Tom. I'll see you both presently.
All right, Ricardo. What's the matter, darling? What's he been doing?
Nothing, Tom. I just have a little headache.
He's making you work with him in his act again, hasn't he?
Please, Tom, I'm all right.
Ellen, listen to me. You know things can't go on the way they are. You've got to leave Ricardo, do you hear? Leave him and divorce him.
No, Tom, I can't. I just can't.
You're scared to death of him, but there's no reason to be. He's just a phony mind reader.
No, Tom. He's not phony. He can read minds. Sometimes he tells me just what I've been thinking. Oh, Tom, I can see. I wish I could read it, but he won't let me. If I tried, he might do something terrible.
No matter what you do, I'm going to get you away from Ricardo. I'll kidnap you if necessary.
Here he comes back.
Oh, well, I'm glad to see you're feeling better, Ellen. Is it Tom who put that sparkle in your eye and that flush in your cheek?
Of course not.
I would not like it if I thought so. I should be very angry if my beloved had eyes for anyone but me. Of course, you haven't, have you, Ellen?
No. No, of course not.
For you love me devotedly, do you not?
I love you devotedly.
You always will in this world and in the next.
I always will. In this world and the next.
You see, Tom? You see why I dare leave my lovely Ellen alone with you? I have perfect faith in her. When we start our tour week after next, I will be quite busy much of the time, and I hope you won't mind keeping Ellen from being lonely. I'm sure the trip won't bore you. I expect it to be most entertaining.
Ellen?
Come in.
Ellen, the train's just coming into Bridgeville. Ricardo's still in the diner. Are you ready?
Yes, I just thought of putting on my hat and coat. I didn't pack anything because you said not to, but... Oh, Tom, I'm frightened.
Ellen, you've got to get hold of yourself. Ricardo's not superhuman.
No, sometimes I think he is, Tom. I'm positive that he knows everything we think. He's just playing with us. He seems so amused ever since the tour started. He seems to have been deliberately throwing us together just to see what happens.
Stop worrying. In a minute, you'll be through with him forever. The bus for Chicago leaving Bridgeville 5 minutes after we get off. In Chicago, you can stay with my mother until you can get a divorce. Then you're going to marry me.
Tom, I'm afraid.
That's the whistle for Bridgeville. We're going to the station. Quick, get your coat.
Oh, I can't help it.
Yeah, I'll give you a hand, dear. You got it on? What?
Ricardo!
Yes, my dear. I was worrying about your headache, so I left my lunch to come and see how you were.
Well, I'm feeling a little better. I was going to take a walk on the platform and get some coffee.
Yes, I see you have your coat on. Oh, but alas, we only stopped for a minute. Hardly long enough for a walk.
No, I suppose not.
So this is Bridgeville. The busy town. On the main bus route to Chicago, I understand.
Is it?
Someday I should show you Chicago, Ellen. You'd like that, wouldn't you?
Yes. I would like that.
Ricardo, stop torturing. Torturing? Ellen? Why, Tom, what a curious idea. I would give my life for Ellen. And she for me, wouldn't you, darling?
Yes. I'd give my life for you.
To most people, that is an empty phrase, but Ellen means it. I will prove it to you, Tom.
I'm not interested.
Oh, but you are. Ellen, my love.
Yes, Ricardo.
Ellen, I'm taking a revolver from my pocket. Here, now you take it from me.
Yes, Ricardo.
What are you up to? Point the revolver at your heart, my dear, and pull the trigger.
Yes, Ricardo.
Ellen, stop! Stop! No, Tom.
Let go my wrist.
You shall not interfere.
Oh.
Ellen, pull the trigger.
Yes, I'll pull it.
Ellen, you...
Nothing happened.
No, of course not. The gun was empty. But Ellen didn't know that, did you, my darling?
No, I didn't know that.
So she would have died just because I asked her to. Such devotion is very rare. It is the kind that lasts through all eternity, as ours will. For we shall always be together, Ellen and I, while we live and after we die. Nothing will ever separate us. Nothing, whatever.
And so the great Ricardo's triumphal tour continued. Newspaper stories told of his amazing feat, and of the feats almost as marvelous performed at his direction by his pale and lovely wife. Twice Tom urged Ellen to flee with him, but both times Ricardo appeared upon the scene, smiling as though knowing every word that had been said. So at last Tom changed his tactics. Waiting until one evening when Ricardo was in the midst of his performance, concentrating on holding a great audience spellbound.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, someone among you is thinking of the initials E.N. Somebody quite close to me.
Tom listened for a moment, and he was quite sure that Ricardo's attention was fully absorbed. Then he left his place in the wings and slipped swiftly backstage to knock on a door marked with a gold star.
Ellen.
Oh, yes, Tom.
I want to talk to you.
You shouldn't be here, Tom.
Never mind Ricardo. Put on your coat.
My coat? But the performance won't be over for half an hour.
Ellen, I've got a plan to fool Ricardo. Will you trust me?
If he catches us, he might kill you.
If there's one time he's not going to be clever enough. Just put on your coat and come along without asking any questions.
But where are we, Tom? We've been driving for an hour, turning this way and that. I haven't any idea which way we've come.
We're not supposed to have, Ellen. Don't you see, if you don't know where you are, Ricardo can never know either, even if he can make contact with your mind from this distance.
I never thought of that.
But I did. So this time I made my plans without telling you.
The Hillview Inn. Oh, what a quaint little place, Tom. And a lovely view over the hills.
Yes, isn't it? It's a funny little place. I found the ad in the paper. Fast. I've engaged a room for you and one for me. We'll stay here tonight. Tomorrow, Ricardo will be in Buffalo, and we'll be heading in the opposite direction.
Tom, there's someone standing in the shadow beside the porch.
That's probably the manager waiting for us. Is that you, Mr. Adams?
No, Tom. It is I, the cop.
Oh, Ricardo.
Yes, my beloved. I've been waiting for you. What took you so long, Tom?
How did you get here? How did you know we were coming here?
Why, Tom, it was I who told you to bring Ellen here.
That's a lie. No one knew we were coming here but myself.
Did you think this was your idea? On the contrary, I put the thought into your head every bit of it.
That's impossible.
I even suggested to you to look in the paper where you could find the advertisement for this delightful little inn.
I don't believe it.
Yes, Tom. At last, after painful effort, I have succeeded in forcing my thoughts into your mind. And now I have another little matter to settle with you. Your undesired attentions to my wife.
Ellen isn't your wife anymore, Ricardo. She's left you for good.
Ellen, is that true?
No, Ricardo. I love you.
Ellen, he's making you say that.
Ellen, my dear, tell Tom just how you feel towards him.
I've been playing with you, Tom, to amuse myself. You've been very stupid not to realize it.
I'm not impressed by your tricks, Ricardo. Ellen is leaving here with me now.
Ellen is not leaving, but you are. You see that railing behind you? Beyond it is a 50-foot drop to a rocky ledge.
What of it?
In a moment you are going to fall accidentally over the railing and be killed. You see, there are only the two of us, and I am far stronger than you. Oh! Now, I will show you a trick of Oriental wrestling.
Tom, look out! He's walking back the railing.
Maybe I know some tricks too, Ricardo. Now, how do you like this one?
Tom, he's going to win! Come, look. He's lying down there on the ledge. His body's all twisted.
Yeah. I'm afraid he's dead.
No, he isn't. He's alive. He's in pain. He's making me feel pain, too. No. Stop it. Stop it.
No, the great Ricardo, mind reader extraordinary, was not dead. For weeks afterwards, he hovered on the borderline between life and death. And then, as if pulling himself back to life by the sheer strength of his will, he slowly won his fight. But though he lived, his fall had paralyzed his body, leaving only his mind truly alive. He lay in a hospital bed, still breathing, but unable to move, to speak, or even to open his eyes.
So he's definitely going to live.
There's no longer any doubt of it. It's almost a miracle. I didn't think any man could survive such an injury.
He wouldn't let himself die.
Yeah, most of us want to live, I've discovered.
I mean, he deliberately refused to die. He kept saying to himself, I will not die. I will not die.
You could hear him? But he's paralyzed. He can't speak.
I could hear his voice in my mind.
Oh, I see. Yes, he's going to live. But he'll never move, nor speak, nor see again.
Yes, he knows that.
I beg your pardon?
Ricardo knows that he'll never recover. He wants to go home. I have to take him there. I will look after him.
Ellen, you can't.
I have to. Tom, don't you think? I'm his prisoner again. The prisoner of his mind. And this time I'll never escape.
And so the great Ricardo returned home, a living dead man. There in the house on the cliff, aided only by a nurse who relieved her at night, Ellen cared for him. Tom stayed close by to help her in any way he could, and did his best to persuade her to turn Ricardo's care over to professional nurses.
Ellen, listen to me. You can't ruin your life like this just to care for a man you hate.
I have to. I can't go away. He won't let me leave the house. If I do, I find myself turning back without knowing what I'm doing.
But, Ellen, you...
My mind isn't my own. Be controlled. Lying in his bed in that room there, never moving. Ricardo controls my mind.
Oh, Ellen, I'm sure that's just a delusion. A psychiatrist could prove it to you. Ricardo was injured, helpless.
But his mind isn't. It's more powerful than ever. All his strength is concentrated in it. If it went for the power of his will, he'd die. He's got more to die. He's planning something.
Planning what?
I don't know. But he still hates you and wants revenge.
Now, you are letting your imagination run away with you. What can a man in Ricardo's condition do?
I don't know, but he has something in his mind.
Helen, you're overwrought. You need sleep. Look, darling, why not take a sedative and go to bed? In the morning we can talk again.
I have to wait until the nightmare.
All right, I'll stay with you. Now, go on. Get to bed.
All right, Tom. I do need rest. But you better wait in the room with him.
I'll go in now. Good night, Ellen.
Good night, Tom.
Oh, there you are. The great Ricardo. The man who was better than anyone else in the world. And now you're a living dead man. I wish you were a dead one.
Then why don't you kill me now?
What?
Why don't you kill me? Just put your hand over my mouth for a moment and you'll be rid of me.
Carter. You can't be talking. You're paralyzed.
I can speak to you, Tom. I speak with my mind, not with my voice.
No, I don't believe it.
Or with double. Listen. Just now you were trying to get Ellen to leave me. But she never will. Ellen and I are joined together for all eternity.
I'm going to free her from you somehow. Do you hear, Ricardo?
Oh, now you're threatening me. That means you do believe my mind can speak to yours. Good. We'll have many interesting conversations in the days to come. Now, I'm going to rest. Good night, Tom. I shall see you tomorrow. You won't want to come, but you will. Ah, Tom. It is good of you to pay me another visit. I was hoping you would come today. In fact, I might say I was willing it, and you came.
So it's true. I tried to convince myself I'd imagined this.
Stubborn, stupid Tom, always fighting against the inevitable. Trying to stay away today, but you couldn't.
No, I couldn't.
And you're convinced now you're not suffering from a delusion.
All right. Not a delusion. So what, Ricardo?
I have some interesting information for you. But first, sit down.
I think I'll stand.
Sit down.
I won't.
You see, you are seated.
Are you?
Yes. I forced you to seat yourself because my mind has established control over your mind. So sit quietly and hear what I have to say.
All right. What is this information of yours?
I am dying.
You don't think that makes me sorry, do you?
Doctors do not know it, but my heart is weakening. If I relaxed my willpower for an instant, I would go out like a candle in the wind.
Sooner the better.
I am so. I had great plans. But no matter. In your mind, now I read the thought, Ellen will be free. But you are wrong. Ellen is coming with me.
What do you mean? What do you mean, coming with you?
I have said that we would be together in life and in death, and so we shall. Ellen and I will die together.
Devil, if I thought you could hurt Ellen, I'd kill you myself.
No, Tom, you won't kill me. You are going to kill Ellen.
No, that's impossible.
There is a drawer in that table beside you. Open it.
No.
Open it.
No.
In the drawer is my revolver. Pick it up.
No.
Pick it up. There.
Well?
With that gun, you are going to shoot Ellen. You will be executed for it as a murderer, and thus I will have my revenge. And because we shall die almost at the same instant, my soul and Ellen's will be forever joined.
No. You can't force me to hurt Ellen. That's one thing you can't do.
Stand up.
No, you...
You see, my mind does control yours. Though I lie here helpless, but I command you must do.
I'll shoot you instead.
You see, you cannot even lift the gun. Now listen to me. Behind that
lies asleep at my orders. You will walk over there. You will point the gun at her forehead, and you will pull the trigger.
You can't make me do that.
Walk, Tom.
No,
On. Another step. There. Now, move the screen aside.
No.
Move the screen.
Ellen!
She's dreaming of you, Tom. Aim the gun well. Fire!
Oh, Helen! Ellen, wake up!
She will never wake again in this world. Pull the trigger.
I won't!
Pull the trigger.
No! Ellen. Oh, Ellen.
Yes, her mind has gone blank. I can no longer sense it. You have killed her.
Ellen, I tried not to do it. Ellen, speak to me.
She is dead, and when the police come, they will arrest you, and you will die for her murder.
I don't care. Now that Ellen's dead, I don't want to live. But first, I'll make sure that you die too, Ricardo.
That is not necessary. I am going now of my own accord. I am relaxing. I will, letting myself slip into the dark silence of death, where Ellen is waiting for me. She's there. She's just across the threshold, waiting for me. She's eager for me. No, you tricked me. I won't die.
Dead. What?
Tom.
Ellen.
Where are you?
Ellen.
Tom, what's happened? My head is... It's strange.
Oh, Ellen, my darling, you're not dead. But I shot you. I thought I killed you.
Huh? Killed you?
Yes, but I didn't. I only wounded you. Careful.
Oh, I don't understand, Tommy. Where's Ricardo? Strangest feeling that he's gone.
He's gone. Oh, I see it all now. I thought I'd killed you. Because I thought so. Ricardo thought so, too. But I was wrong. And because I was wrong, he was wrong, too.
No. He's dead?
Yes, Helen. Free of them forever. Ricardo made a mistake and let himself die, believing that you were already dead. Oh, yes, my darling. This time he's gone for good. Ricardo was clever. But in the end, he outwitted himself.
This is the mysterious traveler again. Did you enjoy our little trip? What became of Tom and Ellen? Why, Ellen's wound was serious, but far from fatal. Not nearly as fatal as Ricardo's mistake. Tom and Ellen are very happy now. But I wonder if they're as safe as they think they are. When you're dealing with a mind like Ricardo's, can you ever be quite sure? Even though he is dead? I knew a man once everybody thought was dead, and he... Oh, you have to get off here. I'm sorry. But I'm sure we'll meet again. You see, I take the same train every week at this time.
You've just heard The Mysterious Traveler, a series of dramas of the strange and terrifying. In today's cast were Maurice Tarplin, James Van Dyke, Jan Miner, Ian Martin, and Rod Hendrickson. Original music was played by Charles Paul. The Mysterious Traveler is written, produced, and directed by Bob Arthur and David Kogan. Listen next week to a tale titled
Death and the Devil.
Another strange and terrifying tale of the mysterious traveler. The Mysterious Traveler has come to you from our New York studios. Carl Caruso speaking. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System. Strange Wills. Stories of strange wills made by strange people, starring the distinguished Hollywood actor Warren Williams, and featuring Lorene Tuttle and Perry Ward, with Howard Culver and an all-star Hollywood cast, and the original music of Del Castillo. I devise and bequeath to my heirs the 7 deadly sins: hate, despair, envy, pride, anger, lust, and jealousy. And here is our well-known star of stage, screen, and radio, Warren Williams.
These are the stories of strange wills, last wills of strange people, so that no reflection can fall on any person or persons, living or dead. Names, places, and time have all been changed. From the yellowed pages of the probate files, we bring you unquestioned proof that truth is still stranger than fantasy. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. But first, here is a brief message from your announcer.
And here again is Warren Williams as John Francis O'Connell in Midnight on the Moor.
Have you ever walked along the moors of Scotland at midnight when the fog, thick blue fog, swells out of the ground and covers you like a shroud that covers the dead? Through the blanket of fog you can hear sounds of eerie night creatures that bring fear of things unseen. Fear of the bogs that carry the reward of slow, agonizing death. In the heart of this moor country is the quaint little village of Perth. I'd never heard of Perth before the moment I decided to stop over the night on my way to Stonehaven. The little inn seemed bright and cheerful, the proprietor friendly, and I was tired. But news, I learned, travels just as fast in Perth as in any American community. Somewhere along the wee hours of the night. Yes? Yes? Well, just a moment.
Mr. O'Connell, I hate to awaken you at this hour of the morning, but you're a visitor.
A visitor, but I don't know anyone. Well, just a minute, please. I'll be right out. Now then, Angus. You say I have a visitor?
Aye, Mr. O'Connell. It's the Mistress McClanahan. She's from the McClanahan Castle, over in the moors.
Where is she, Angus?
In the parlor, sir. But please, sir, careful. People shy clear of the McClanahans in the castle.
Why is that, Angus?
5 years ago, there was a tragedy. Young Moffat McClanahan disappeared into the night in the fog. He was never found. And ever since, people tell us strange noises coming from the moors around the old castle. It's haunted, they say.
Oh, very entertaining, Angus. Show me to the lady, please.
Aye, sir. This way, sir.
beg of you to come with me, Mr. O'Connell. My father is in desperate need of help. He must write his will.
But, Mistress McLennan, I'm not a barrister. I have not the right.
I know. But there are no lawyers, no barristers in all of Perth. Please come, sir.
Very well, young lady. I'll dress and be with you in a moment. I'll do everything I can to help. In just a matter of minutes, I rejoined Anne, and together we started on our trip to the castle, 10 miles inland. Her horse seemed to know just where to go. I can't see a thing. Is the fog always as thick as this?
Aye. Around Perth, as soon as the sun goes down, the fog comes out of the ground. It keeps people indoors at night. They're afraid. Aye. I love it.
If I didn't know that the hounds of the Baskervilles were purely fiction, I'd almost...
Wild dogs. Moor dogs. People seldom see them. They run only at night and disappear at daybreak.
Oh, they sound depressing.
There's an old superstition that they draw people into the bog. Slow, silent death for those unfortunate enough.
Good heavens, can't you tell? Don't you know where they are?
No, Mr. O'Connell. Until you make one false step. And then as you try to lift one foot, you get caught with the other. And then slowly you sink deeper and deeper.
Well, I certainly hope your horse doesn't...
Oh, no, he knows the way. But heaven help the stranger who walks the moors alone at night when the fog comes down.
I'd simply say, Anne, heaven help the stranger. And that includes an American lawyer by the name of John Francis O'Connell.
I agree, Mr. O'Connell. Yes, I agree. Heaven help you.
What? I knew then what it means to have that get out and walk home feeling. The fog was so thick I could barely see my hand in front of my face. Nor was that all. We were going through the bogs, slimy, bottomless sinkholes. And here I was, riding next to a young girl who asked if heaven help me. And as I listened to the strange sounds all around us, I agreed. Anne, look over there. It looks like a blue haze coming out of the fog. You see it?
Oh, yes, we're getting near the castle, Mr. O'Connell. That light has been burning from the tower every night. Every night since my little brother Moffat disappeared. Father lights it to let him know where the castle lies.
Angus McPherson, the proprietor of the inn, told me there'd been a tragedy. Would you tell me about it?
Of course, sir. It's common knowledge. See, it happened 5 years ago. There isn't much anyone knows. Moffat and I had adjoining bedrooms. Sometime around 1 o'clock in the morning, I was awakened by a noise in Moffat's room. Moffat! Moffat! What was that noise? Moffat! Are you all right?
Anne, why are you screaming? What's the trouble?
Moffat! Moffat! I heard him cry out!
Moffat! He's gone. Moffat is gone.
And nothing was found? No clue?
Nothing. Next morning, Father took a searching party to the moors. They found footsteps leading into the bog. That was all. Well, here we are at the castle, sir. I'll take you right up to Father.
And if you can find my hand, I'll help you down.
Thank you. Now then, just take hold of my coat tail and follow me.
My life is only a question of hours, Mr. O'Connell. That is why I sent for you. You must help me either to find my missing son or bring his murderer to bay. I couldn't rest in my grave otherwise.
Anything I can do, of course, but I know so little about it.
Aye, all of us know so little. The cry in the night, an open window, footprints leading to the bog. But that's not enough, Mr. O'Connell. Moffat McClanahan is the last of a great line. If he dies, so does the illustrious name of McClanahan, a name that meant honor and bravery since 1707.
Sir Walter, tell me what I can do.
I have a plan, but I want no one to hear it but you and I. Where is the lass Anne?
Why, she went to her room, I believe.
Good. Then we can talk as man to man. O'Connell, there are 4 people who might have kidnapped or murdered my son. The first on the list is my housekeeper, Miss Grayson. She always thought that my son was a barrier to my marrying her. She came into my service shortly after my wife died almost 15 years ago. She took care of the children, was a splendid mother to them. But she resented Moffat, hated him because she saw that all of my love and affection was centered around him.
She's still with you, Sir Walter?
Aye. To have discharged her might have meant the death of my son, should he still live. Aye, Mr. O'Connell, you shall meet her in the morning. But be on your guard. She's sly, artful, and dangerous.
I'll be particularly careful, Sir Walter.
Then there are 3 others. 2 brothers who are in the line of succession for my title and estates, should my son be dead. And lastly, my nephew Harry, a black sheep of the clan. He'd sell his soul, that one, for power and the title. I've tried to find the criminal for 5 years, but he's always slipped through my fingers. Well, if I can't find the guilty one in my lifetime, then, Mr. O'Connell, I swear I'll do it from my grave. I swear it.
Yes?
I have a breakfast tray for you, sir.
Oh, yes. One moment, please. Now then, come in.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I'm Grierson, sir, the housekeeper of the McClanahan Castle.
Oh, yes, Miss Grierson. Sir Walter mentioned you last night.
He did, eh? That's more than he's ever done to my face.
He complimented you highly.
It's not time for him to be complimenting anyone. Him with a black angel hovering over his bed.
How is Sir Walter this morning?
You can't kill a Scotsman that easy, Mr. O'Connell. He's enjoying a hearty breakfast in bed. Same as you.
Miss Grierson, this afternoon, if your duties permit, I wish you'd show me around the neighborhood. You see, I'd like to see the bogs.
The bogs? The bogs, Mr. O'Connell? Oh, no. No. I never go near the bogs. They hold death. A black, treacherous death. No one who falls in ever escapes. That's why Master Moffat is gone, sir. He died in the bogs. Aye, he died in the bogs.
What makes you think so, Miss Grierson?
I know. I saw footprints leading right up to the bog. Not his, sir. Not his.
What were the footprints like?
I remember them just as plainly as the morning I saw them. Bare feet they were, sir. You could see where the toes squished down into the edge of the bog.
But you have no proof that those feet belonged to the abductor of Master McClanahan.
No proof at all. But I know. I know. I heard the Moor dogs barking from the bogs for weeks. They were there by the bog, waiting.
Oh, Mr. McConnell! Miss Grierson! I just came from Father's room. He's dead.
The death of Sir Walter McClanahan made it necessary for me to start out for Perth immediately to carry out the plan that we had worked out the night of my arrival, and arranged that I could have the use of the same horse and carriage that had brought me to the castle the preceding night. At least I felt secure knowing that should I by chance be forced to return after sundown, the horse would bring me back safely. Arriving in Perth, I went directly to the inn.
Well, Mr. O'Connell, welcome back to Perth. I trust you had a pleasant night out in the moors.
The Moors were terrifying, Angus. But this morning, Sir Walter McClanahan died. And I must notify his heirs at law to be present for the reading of his will tomorrow night.
Sir Walter dead. That'll bring out the vultures, his brothers and his nephew. They've been waiting for years to get that castle. Aye, Mr. O'Connell, there's not a gentleman in the lot. There's bad blood in the McClanahan line. There is murderer's blood, I call it. Trust no one, Mr. O'Connell. No one, if you value your life.
Part 2 of Midnight on the Moor will follow in just a moment. And here again is Warren Williams.
By the time I had reached all the heirs at law of the deceased, made the necessary arrangements with the minister, and taken care of other prearranged matters, it was sundown. The fog was already coming in off the moors in heavy swirls, blotting out everything from sight. It was after dark as I started my return trip to the castle. I gave the horse a free rein and hoped for the best. I've thought of a lot of places I'd rather have been at night than on the moors. Fog and cold. Couldn't cut it with a knife. Are you still there, boy? Want to come back here with me? Once upon a midnight, really, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume, of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping. Suddenly there came a tapping. Ooh! What's that? Whoa, boy. Whoa. Is someone there? Hello? Is someone calling? Where are you? Just a minute. Stay right here, boy. I'll be right back. here! Come back here! Whoa, whoa, whoa! That voice. I know that voice. I heard the gallop of the horse flying away in the far distance. I was trapped by the murderer of Moffat McClanahan. I got down on my knees and felt round for the little road that I'd been on a moment before, but it was gone. I was utterly lost. Ahead lay the slow death of the bogs. But I had to go on. I had to get back to the castle. I knew now the murderer of Moffat McClanahan. Step by step, each one would be my last. Then once more I heard the voice. Oh, I was trapped. I tried to raise my foot, but the other one sank deeper into the mire. It was as if a great suction pump was pulling me down into the very bowels of the earth. Help! Help! I'm sinking down into the fog, in the bog. Help! Help!
Dear brethren, we are all gathered here this night at the Castle McClanahan in the last tribute to the late departed Sir Walter McClanahan. In Mr. O'Connell's absence, I will take upon myself as Minister of the Gospel the duty of reading the will. According to the wishes of the late deceased Sir Walter McClanahan, the coffin is to be opened, and his heirs at law will respectfully take seats around the coffin. Will you please wheel in the remains? Aye, right here in this room. That's fine, lad, thank you. And now then, will you please remove the cover? Sit it right over near the fire, please. Would the 5 of you please draw your chairs up to the foot of the coffin?
Oh, how ghastly. Must we sit here and look into his dead face?
It was his wish, Mr. Sam.
He was a peculiar one, my brother Walter was. Ever since that night when Moffat disappeared into the fog.
Uncle Andrew, must have been...
I'm sorry, Lassie. I cannot help but think of that night. It made of him a madman.
He always said that he would find the murderer of his son before he was laid to rest. This is his last chance. His last chance.
Now that we are all properly seated according to the wishes of the departed, I shall continue with services and the reading of the will. To my heirs at law, one of you is a murderer. One of you is responsible for the death of my only beloved son. But be not secure in your perfidy. Your sin will find you out. My title and estate must under the law pass on to my oldest brother, Andrew McClanahan. Should he confess to the murder of my son Moffat...
He's taken up! He's taken up! Sir Walter McClanahan is arising from the dead. He's punching his finger right...
Stop her! Stop her! She's breaking away!
Let me be. I should kill all of you. Yes, it was I. I who killed Moffat, my own brother. And for a good reason, too. No love was ever given me. Only to him. I was jealous. I carried him to the bog. I threw him. And then I came back, got into bed, and screamed. And now I shall join Mr. McConnell and Moffat.
You'll not find me there, then. Your plan to destroy me failed.
You two back from the dead?
No, Anne, not back from the dead. Back from the living. To help trap the murderer.
Try and stop me. All of you. I dare you.
Stop her! Stop her! She's running out to the bog. Nothing can save her.
Anne, stop!
May God have mercy on her soul.
Warren William will be back in just a moment to tell you the rest of the story of Midnight on the Moor. But first, here is a brief message from your announcer. Now, here again is Warren William.
How did I come to suspect Anne? Well, when I left for Perth, only 2 people knew I was going. Anne and Miss Grierson. I knew from my conversation with the housekeeper that she feared the bogs, even in daylight. But Anne was a strange creature. She knew and loved the bogs as well as her father. When she lured me away from the carriage, and I walked into the bog, I did so intentionally. I wanted her to think I was dead. The next night, I called on an old actor friend of Sir Walter's to help me. Under the cover of darkness, we slipped into the castle, and a few minutes later, the actor became the dead image of Sir Walter McClanahan. Well, you know the rest. Under the eerie candlelight of the room, Sir Walter McClanahan came to life to point a finger of doom at a lovely young girl in whose heart was the deadly sin of jealousy. Next week, I have a beautiful story to tell you. A young man was given the opportunity of inheriting an industrial empire or a ticket to Paris. This young man wanted to study art more than anything in the world, but he knew that if he chose Paris, he would not only suffer privation and want, but he would also lose the love of his beautiful, young, and rich fiancée. What did he do? Well, listen to the story which we call 7 Flights to Glory for the answer. This is Warren William inviting you to listen again next week.
Strange Wills is written by Ken Crepine and produced by Albert Ulrich. This is a Colorways feature produced in Hollywood.